Internet, welcome back to the Fast Travel Lounge. My name is Patrick, listen to episode 40. The last one before we take a break. Terribly sad news, but I'm going on holiday. But before we get to my sweet holiday, I am joined by Saif, Steve, and Josh for one last hurrah. Say hi, everyone.
Hey, everyone. Hey, everyone.
Hello.
Oh, it was so close to 3 out of 3. Oh, man.
You know I'm never gonna give you a proper
No,
holiday.
I know, but I was thinking, you know, it's episode 40, it's special, we're taking a break for a month, but no, had to go and fucking run it.
Hey, it's special for you. You wanted the break, not me.
Well, okay, well, true, but I'm still upset at you. Right, so, first order of business, September. How are we tracking, boys?
Very good, actually. Very good. My legs hurt.
Not good enough, apparently. I saw those statistics.
What statistics in general? So according
The ones that will not be talked about because it was in the group chat.
Oh, okay. I should have done 7,000 more steps. Would have gotten 169,000. So since the 1st of September, I have done 163,000 steps.
Okay, but why?
Why not?
Fairly good counter. Josh, how are you tracking?
My watch has just not worked, so I think it's basically been dead since for the last couple of years sitting in a drawer. So I don't know.
Right. Does anyone have any broken tech that they wish to discuss? Or by extension...
Why are you getting out of this? Well, how many steps have you done, Pat?
As I said, does anyone have any broken tech? No, I've actually, shoot, I don't have my watch in front of me. That was an awkward faux pas on my part. I've done let's see, what are we at? We are the 8th today. That would mean that I have done 45 to somewhere between 45 and 60,000 steps. Kind of hard to measure. Somewhere
today.
in that ballpark. Not the most, not the least. So that's where I like to be.
Guess that's true.
So, as I was saying, any broken tech, any sweet Krispy Kreme that we might have been enjoying over the last week, boys?
None from my end, I'm sorry.
None from my end either.
It's special episode 40. You guys didn't even think to, like, drop your phone in the toilet or anything for the sake of the pod tent?
I thought about it, but I didn't do it.
I did get my Valve Index back.
Oh, wow, really bad. I thought you said you weren't getting that back for like 40 years.
So basically the way that it turned out is that because EB Games didn't have any in stock at all, but someone cancelled a pre-order while I was waiting to hear what they were going to do about my repair. So they sent it to an EB Games store.
You're getting doxxed.
I can cut that out. They sent it there.
Hold on, let me mark it.
I realized it as I was saying it. So they moved it to the EB Games store local to me, and I was able to swap my full set for the other one, which was lucky.
You know, I'm glad on this very special occasion we got another Josh doxes himself moment.
True, yeah.
I didn't think
it's been a while.
Really. Yeah.
It has been a while.
Josh moment.
And it's crazy because, you know, I go on holiday for a month. I don't know where you live. I need to listen back to the podcast to hear your full physical address.
I didn't
think I'm giving my full physical address. I think I gave my mum's though.
Everyone's already
good
got your mom's
times.
address. That's fine.
Right.
Wow.
Well, off of the back of that, why don't we go straight into Around the Lounge for this sweet episode 40, which actually honestly kind of blows my mind. We're at episode 40.
I know, right?
That's actually kind of nuts.
2 episodes. But first, Pat, can you riddle me this and riddle me quick? When we doing an album of the week?
Penguin. Wait, sorry, what? I just assumed it was penguin, black and white and red all over. I don't know. Penguin in a blender?
That's a
usually the
newspaper.
answer. Oh.
Beaten up. No.
Shit, no. I when I said penguin in a blender, I meant newspaper, actually, when you think about it.
Ooh. I thought you meant like a blender is in that animation tool.
Yeah, that too, but still meant newspaper. But what were you saying?
So it's album of the week?
Well, I figured we were going to discuss that.
We generally get album of the week done after Round the Lounge.
Really? I swear we done it beforehand.
There's some sort of fetish that Steve seems to have for Josh talking about albums of the week. It's kind of weird, but I'm on one hand also kind of into it. You know what I mean?
I'm having a Mandela effect. I swear we used to. Look, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm not the host. I didn't get to. Not yet. Anyway, you wait until you go on holidays, Pat. My reign of power is coming.
Oh man, time of elves is over. Time of orcs has begun.
Oh, all right. That was
I was
was
thinking Lord of the
too
Rings
good.
too.
That was too well planned. Some way.
And
Some
also,
might
would like
think
to
we
know your
planned this ahead of
locations to write a
time.
good story.
It's true. Some might say that you'll never catch the host with his pants down. Round lunch for this week. Seth, what have you been up to this week?
I'll be honest, I had a bit of a hard time thinking of what I was going to talk about this week, because not that I've done too much stuff, I just felt like the stuff I've done, I haven't done enough to talk about. So I'm going to go back a little bit and talk about Z Nation, because I watched all of the first season for that a couple weeks back.
Oh wow, that hugely topical show that came out in like 2014. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
the one that I thought came out in 2005.
It's so on brand for Fast Travel Lounge to discuss something that's already been out for like 8 years.
What do you mean? That's a lot
That's
enough.
fine.
Can't
Let the boys
wait to
play,
yeah.
I say.
Gotta stay
Basically-
consistent.
Basically still a new release if we're honest. That's cool. Can't wait to get into that. Steve, what have you been up to this week?
I know I spoke about it probably about a month ago, but I've been playing more of 2 Point Campus. So I will give the official Steven review, even though I haven't finished it. But those games, I've gotten the idea. Would I say that I'm a master of 2 Point Campus? No, but I'd say that I'm the headmaster. And that's all that matters.
Wow,
Hope
was
someone
really
doesn't
wondering where
clip
that was
that.
going. Still disappointed, but thank you. Can't wait to get into that. Josh, what have you been up to
Get
this
into
week?
the headmaster, is that what you're trying to say?
Look, I was going to say that I'm pretty sure I have heard Stephen be called the headmaster before.
I thought you talked to your mum about that kind of stuff.
I don't know what's funnier, Josh's joke or Patrick taking like 5 seconds to realize it.
I haven't really been up to anything, so I've just been playing Escape from Tarkov. For anyone who plays that is a long, demanding spreadsheet of a game, so anyone who plays it will know that it's a grind.
A
Bit of
spreadsheet
Opus
of a
Magnum in there
game.
too, right?
And a
It's a
little bit of
JRPG.
Opus Magnum, yeah. Did you say it's a JRPG?
Because you called it an Excel of a game.
An Excel spreadsheet. It is far more spreadsheety than any JRPG I've ever played, without a doubt. Like, I-
Even more spreadsheeting and going for the Final Fantasy 13 Platinum.
Yes.
I literally made a spreadsheet for that.
There are, like, if you just look up types of armor and types of damage that certain rounds do coming out of
Types
certain guns,
of damage.
different Tarkov, like, there are so many different types of rounds coming out of the various different guns, obviously, but each round will do a certain, like, armor damage, pen damage, body damage, and it'll only go through certain types of armor, and that certain types of armor will have certain HP and durability
Actually,
and
yeah, man.
all this other crap.
As well. Overweight, critical overweight, fatigue, stim buff, stim debuff.
Yep. There's
Headmaster.
a million different things that can go wrong and will go wrong in Tarkov. Anyway.
What about you, Pat? What have you been up to this week, big fella?
Well, good question. Before I get to that, though, Josh, do you have an album of the week sponsored by the sponsor formerly known as Ford Truck Month, and is probably now September?
I thought it was Ford Step Month.
That's what I said.
Step
Help me, Ford
Okay.
Step Month. I'm stung.
All right. Well, that's going to get
Like
us.
last week, I asked, please do not do that.
Good way to get us censored. Love that for us.
Is a step month like February because it's not a full month? Anyway, so
I'm done. Pack me up and ship me home.
That's funny. So was the step month. Anyway, what were you saying, Josh? Album of the week is
album of the week. You basically just nominated to us a minute ago, but very, very good album, Oceanized
Wow.
by Owl City.
well, way to throw me
Yep.
under the bus.
I will.
that
Everyone will know that you listen to Owl City.
Well, I do unironically and have almost
Same.
all of their albums, but
Yeah,
that's fine.
Very good music. Oceanized by Owl City. So,
Sweet. Can't wait to get into that.
Yeah.
And then, as Steve asked, I played a hair. So, some would say just a smidge of Opus Magnum this week, but I would actually.
Patrick, go to bed. No, I'll go to bed when I'm ready. It's not an addiction. It's not 3 a.m. yet. I'll go to bed soon. Sorry, you can continue now.
Throwing him under the bus
Definitely.
again.
Definitely
I have to.
feels like, even though I didn't survive the first bus attack, that
Oh no, he's coming back.
Josh scraped my remains and tossed them onto the combine harvester a second time. But that's
know
okay. I really have only played a smidge of Opus Magnum this week, so I would actually like to, in light of as we're recording this, we got the Scarlet Violet trailer yesterday, or last night, depending on time zones. Last night, this morning, pick one.
I woke up, I stood... No, it doesn't. I fucked it. Sorry. I was going to say that I stayed up till 11 o'clock for it. It's way past my bedtime.
Wow. Grow up. Anyway, so I...
Fucking ruined.
I was wondering that after the announcement of this auto battling mechanic, I'd actually like to get the pod's thoughts on grind mechanics in general, which I think could be an interesting discussion, because I think that'll be more interesting to our lovely listener in brackets S than anything else that I have to talk about for this week, and also because I've sort of missed doing a deep dive, and episode 40 seems like a pretty good place to do it, so that is my plan. But that brings us to the end of Round the Lounge. We get to go straight into the content for this week. Josh, Round the Lounge sponsored by Ford Step Month. Okay, no, you're right. I hate that. Anyone else vomit slightly when I said that? That was terrible.
I really liked that. That was cool.
Yeah.
Of course, Steve's okay with it.
The sponsor formerly known as Ford Truck Month, but Ocean Eyes Battle City, Josh, take it away.
Right. So, first of all, you said Round the Lounge, sponsored by... So, nice. Yeah, anyway, that threw me off super hard. So we're doing Album of the Week. So Ocean Eyes Battle City is an album that I listened to extremely extensively in 2009 and still listen to pretty heavily.
I was going to say, yeah, and past 2009, right?
Yeah, no, I listened to it for at least multiple years. It would have been on repeat, before Spotify and everything really came to Australia. So this was one of the few albums I listened to just literally on repeat whenever I needed something to listen to. Then I still listen to it, but yeah. So fun
Isn't
fact.
it crazy that the entire band's made up of owls?
What do you mean? It's made out of rowlets.
Oh,
I prefer Nocturne.
do you? Oh, that
Do you
was
really?
That was a Saif take. Get out of here.
It is a Saif take.
Normal flying. It should be psychic flying. Get out of here.
Should be psychic flying. Have stab and maybe a couple of useful moves.
I'll be honest, I just said the first owl Pokemon that came to my head that wasn't Rowlet.
It's the
And it
only
was a
other
lockdown? I mean, I suppose
Is there any others?
No, it was Hoot Hoot.
Some would say Hoot Hoot is an owl.
Yeah, I would say Hoot Hoot's an owl, and I'd say it's a better owl than Noctowl, to be honest.
I'd say that Hoot Hoot's actually a hoot to be with. I guess that didn't really have a leg to stand on.
Yeah, that is literally the only two.
So what I said,
Right.
I think my microphone must have cut out because no one's really laughed.
Did you know that Hoot Hoot actually has two legs?
Yeah,
It just switches them at supersonic speed, so you never see it switch legs.
Anyway,
Owl City, I think the most, like, while I was looking up facts, I think the most funny fact to me out of all of this is that it had 2 hits on the electronic albums chart and, quote, over 40 million plays on MySpace. Remember MySpace?
Wow.
Yeah, I remember having
for
a music taste on
but-
MySpace.
Yeah. I remember still going through until like late 2013, 14 maybe. I was still going through MySpace looking for music to listen to. It was chosen, and pretty much the reason why Fireflies became so popular off this album was that it was chosen as the single of the week by the iTunes Store on July 14 in 2009, in the year of the album's release. And fun fact, the singer, so Adam Young, made some songs for the iOS 7 operating system, which is pretty cool.
That I didn't know. That's kind of sick.
That's pretty cool. It's such a weird niche thing. It almost makes you think like, did they put it so that he would be like? Did they make it a single of the week because he was making sounds for them for iOS 7, or was it just a coincidence? Because it's like the same.
Honestly,
year.
I think it was probably coincidence, because
It probably was.
I don't know if iTunes still does it, but I've actually got quite a few of the songs that I listen to a lot via just singles of the week, because the whole thing was that iTunes singles of the week were free to download because they were the singles of the week.
Then there was the U2 album, which they forced on you.
Yeah, and then there was the YouTube album, which fucking hacked their way onto every device that you own.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
that was so good. That was so funny. Oh, take me back.
That was pretty funny. That was a long time ago now.
But yeah, I have quite a few artists that I've only discovered via iTunes singles of the week, which is funny because I don't use iTunes anymore. I use Spotify.
Well, iTunes doesn't exist anymore.
People. Well, I mean, it's still a shell for Apple Music, but
I guess. You can't really download the app anymore.
Favorite songs from Ocean Eyes, Josh?
I mean, the entire album, but very specifically, probably just going down the list, looking at the songs: "The Bird and the Worm,"
Really?
"Dental Care," yeah, "Hello
Lisa needs
Seattle"
braces.
as well. Fireflies, definitely, "Vanilla Twilight," and "Tidal Wave."
That's so interesting because A Bird and a Worm and Dental Care are the two that are probably my least favorite on the album.
Wow. I really love The Bird and the Worm. If I think of this album, that's the first song I think of. It's not my
Holy
favorite on the
shit.
album, but it's the very first one because it's so distinctive in my head and catchy that that's the one that I think of first. I think my very favorite on the album is probably Hello Seattle.
Hello Seattle is very good, and it's interesting too in that Hello Seattle was a re-record of what was the final song on Adam Young's Of June album from Owl City.
There you go. There's another fun fact.
Some would call it fun, I guess, but Of June also a great album. Pretty much all Owl City's albums I listen to fairly extensively. Don't 100% understand why, but really enjoy the music. Yeah, Fireflies is interesting for me because I know exactly when, like, in like time I got introduced to that, and it was because a friend played it on his phone when we were hanging out all the way back in, I guess, around 2009 when it came out. But I heard that and I was like, man, that song's kind of sick. And then I asked him to play it again.
Was it on a Sony Ericsson?
Good question. I don't think so.
Or as the kids used to call it, Sony Erection?
I don't think many kids called it that actually, Steve.
Oh. All right then.
It was a sorry erection. No. I think I'm pretty sure Fireflies was literally downloaded to my iPod Touch back when I had an iPod Touch for games when I was a little kid. And I was like, wow, this is really good. And then I ended up picking up the physical CD so that I could rip it to my iTunes on my computer to put it on my thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't buying it off the iTunes store. Are you kidding me? Not only did I not have a medium of buying things online at that point in my life, but also I wasn't giving Apple money for that.
So I'm going to be that guy for a moment. I actually don't really like the music here. Like I've been sampling the music while this conversation's been going on. And I remember Fireflies very well, and yeah, this just isn't the style of music that I'm into.
I'll be honest, Saif, you're lucky that you're editing the podcast because otherwise that would be grounds to throw you out.
It is. It is. I understand. Like, this is not an album that I would recommend to people per se. But
yeah,
no,
I
that's
just feel like I haven't said anything because I've been sampling things, and it's like I need to make my comments for this section before I go away forever. I'm not a big fan of this style of music. Yeah, just for this segment of the podcast. I'll be back later.
So I suspect, maybe I'll get your thoughts on this, Josh, that Ocean Eyes, because it is 12, 13, oh God.
13 years old. God, don't do that to me. Holy crap.
Years old. So
yeah, 2009.
I think of probably all of Owl City's albums, this is one that if you listen to it closer to when it came out, you would have more favorable opinions than listening to it now, because now it sounds a lot more engineered isn't the right term, but it sounds a lot more kind of garage bandy, perhaps, given that it's 13 years old. And at the time, you're like, wow, this electronic music's great. But something that came out later, like All Things Bright and Beautiful, 2011, 2012, I think probably sounds closer to the kind of typical pop music today than Ocean Eyes does. Not to the detriment, because Midsummer Nights or Midsummer Station, I think, was
Midsummer
the album after that one.
Yeah, 2012.
Where that one sounded perhaps too poppy for me, and then it was hard to distinguish. But I think All Things Bright and Beautiful is an interesting middle ground in terms of someone that hasn't heard much Owl City before that would be interested to listen to now, however many years passed when Fireflies was popular. The other thing that I was that I guess I'm interested in is that quite a lot of Owl City's music has overt, not symbolism, but lyrical discussion of God and Christianity. And it's interesting that
very Christian.
Yeah, and it's interesting that I would consider myself an atheist. I assume you would also consider yourself an atheist, Josh. But
yeah,
whether that plays into
non-believers,
the songs that I'll see you in hell, Steve. Whether that
From heaven.
plays into the songs that you like more or less, because I don't think there are as many overt Christian songs on this one. Meteor Shower is one that comes to mind, but I know that in later albums, some of the symbolism is a lot more overt and on the nose than it is in this album.
Yeah, I think I agree with you for that. I haven't listened to too much of their newer stuff. I've just listened to this particular album a lot. But some of the new stuff I've heard was very, very Christian, which it takes away for me. Obviously not for everyone, but for me it takes a lot away from the music.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd probably enjoy this because it isn't so Christian, I guess. But at the time when I was like, how old would I have been in, like 2009, like 13, 14? I probably wouldn't have even understood or cared. So
and I think that's part of what feeds it in.
Just to get into the Stephen backstory and the Stephen lore, I don't think whether you're a believer in religion or not, that's a conversation for another time. That's now my catchphrase. But as I went to a Catholic school, some of the songs we used to sing, it was one of those things where it was like, it's a shit song lyrically, but because you're singing it so much, it becomes a banger. So is it one of those type of things? Like, it's a banger ironically, and then you sort of come full circle.
What's a Catholic song that's a banger?
Ironically, what is a Christian song banger that you sang?
So
it's a Catholic or Christian.
Well, it's the same umbrella, right? So the amount of time that me and a bunch of school friends have like tried to find these songs by typing the lyrics onto Google and finding about 30 different versions, but not the one that we specifically heard, has driven us fucking insane. I'm 99% sure these songs don't exist, and it was they'd put us in a tent and just sort of shined lights in our heads and
oh wow, you went to Hillsong.
Yeah, but it's a. So I can't show you any of these songs, but I promise you they're in the room with me right now.
I'm glad to hear it. At least you have company.
Yeah,
my school song was a like a Mozart song that they basically put really shitty lyrics over the top of, and it's ruined the Mozart song for me.
Oh, that sounds...
The closest I came was that I was part of Really, guys? We're in front of God right now, all right? He's judging the shit out of you.
Mate, he put it on your body. He knows you're going to use it.
He's watching us all the time, don't worry.
The closest I got with that was that I was part of my high school soccer team, and I think as a meme initially, decided to recite the Lord's Prayer as our team's chant before the game. And I think part of it was the psychological damage to the heathens that weren't going to Christian schools. But the fact that we won the first game that we did that, it then became a ritual. And then it became
roll
like...
a D6 for psyche.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It became like oddly, not faith-based. What's what I'm looking for? Like oddly... No, God, that's definitely not the right word I'm looking for. Where
like
you just sort of leaned in, not necessarily because you believed in it, but just because you feared the consequences if you didn't.
Yes, superstition.
Yeah, that's the one. It became a superstition for the football team to recite the Lord's Prayer before every game. Then we started losing and we stopped, but for like a while they were on a hot
Bob
streak.
broke his leg.
Anyway,
Speaking of sporting teams, we lost our semi-final for the my Oztag team. We're very upset.
Oh,
damn,
no.
that's crazy.
So anyway, I was going to say, Patrick, for the first couple of weeks, it works because the Lord thought it was actually being done out of faith and belief, but then once he realized that you were doing it as a joke, he had to smite you.
Well, yeah, that is the same way as I play Cult of the Lamb, which I talked about last week. Go back and listen to episode 39. Shout out to episode 39.
Yes,
gang.
old people gladiatorial battles, my favorite.
Yeah, exactly. Favorite tracks from me before we wrap up: Ocean Eyes. I quite like listening to the deluxe version.
Yeah, the deluxe version's good too.
Yeah,
Strawberry Avalanche was also great, and If My Heart Was a House. Oh.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say. Fireflies, banger. Strawberry Avalanche, also banger, and I would say quite a different song to other songs on the album.
It's very different.
Despite its Christian overtones, I actually quite like Meteor Shower. I don't know, very, very melodic. Big fan. And Umbrella Beach, have to give
Umbrella Beach is pretty good.
Soft spot to that too. Anyway, thank you, Josh, for the now 14-minute album of the week, sponsored by Ford's Truck Months, Krispy Kreme, September. Pick one. Right, where shall we jump to next? Why don't we do Z Nation? Because that's probably the least video gamey one we have in the stack.
Fair enough. Let me get up my
Wasn't
notes
there a
for
game
this.
based on Z Nation?
I
Wait, no, maybe that's
No,
World War Z.
Yeah,
World
you're
War
thinking
Z,
of-
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, World War Z's got a game. Very
Yeah, it's
good
not a very good game.
yeah, there was Battle of Z and a couple of other things. Yeah.
Brad Pitt doesn't smell at all like Brad Pitt in real life.
And there's Dragon Ball Z as well, but I don't think that's related.
But yeah, Z Nation,
That was so clever. Why did I not get a laugh?
you will be ignored.
Hey,
Z Nation is a zombie show that was done by Sci-Fi in 2014, and like I said earlier,
Oh, like The Walking Dead.
no, that well, a zombie show, yes, but
Josh,
Walking
I'm going
Dead
to
was
stop talking, all right?
Walking Dead was AMC, I think is them. Something along those lines. Anyway, I thought this was a show from like 2005 just by the way it was shot and like some of the effects, because there's some dodgy effects happening throughout the first couple of episodes. Like instead of having contacts in some of the actors' eyes for zombies, they just do like this white filter over them that looks really bad, and like it's very noticeable and took me out of the moment a few times. After about the third episode, though, I think it was, I stopped noticing that, so they must have fixed up their effects by that point. But yeah, the premise of the show is a very Walking Dead-ish situation where it's the entire world's infected. As soon as you die, you turn into a zombie. The only way to stop.
so it's not like a bitten one. It's not like you get bitten, you turn. It's like if you die, you actually become one. Like any death. Unless it like kills your head or something, or breaks your head.
Oh, the Death Stranding syndrome.
Getting bitten also turns you. It like speeds up the process and turns you into a zombie. But yeah, it's also just like if you died by any natural causes or murdered even, then yeah, you turn, and the only way to stop is bullet or something shattering your brain. But yeah, so the premise of the show is that there's someone that's forcefully been forced to take a vaccine.
Forcefully being forced? Oh, God.
Was it mandated? They weren't allowed to see. They weren't allowed to go into their place of work without one. I've heard this before.
Did it give him autism?
No, and no. So what happened is they've taken inmates from prisons and they just started forcibly injecting them with vaccines to try and figure out how to make a cure for this whole thing. And they finally hit a survivor, but the doctor that was with him had to go away, and the place was being run down by zombies. So the doctors escaped over to California, and this guy's got to try and make his way cross country to go get to her. So it just follows along this guy's journey as he's going through with a group of survivors out in the world.
This just sounds like a bad Last of Us plot.
To be honest, a lot of zombie shows have the same sort of premise.
Yeah.
It's
they're usually with this one as well.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? No, fuck it. No, honestly, Seth, you go. It's fine. You go.
Yeah, sorry. The what I was going to say is that like a lot of them like try to do like some sort of twist on like just to change up the formula a little bit, because The Walking Dead is like such a good baseline and so perfectly done as like the regular zombie story. That everything else needs to have like some sort of twist to it. So The Last of Us is obviously like the father-son dynamic between Ellie and Joel and their cross country. This is more
the twist is the golf club in Joel's head in part 2.
Yeah, that too.
Whoa, spoilers, man! I just got the PS5 one. I don't know what happens in the second one.
But yeah, this one's twist, I guess, is more along the lines of like how the world's shaped up at the moment, and the fact that the guy with the vaccine is on a timer as well himself, because he's not completely cured. He's slowly turning throughout the show. But yeah, there's the thing that the other part of the twist is that there's this guy from the NSA up in Alaska. He's got access to every type of communication network. So he's constantly sending out radio signals, telephone communications, all that sort of things to try and keep up with everyone about the state of the guy that's got the cure, and also kind of like give them updates on where they're meant to be going or things that are going to be coming up to stop their movement for a little bit. Like one episode has something called a zombie tsunami, Sci-Fi also does the Sharknado movies, so you'll see like little ideas over the top, kind of like that, come in every now and then. So Zombie Tsunami is just literally like an entire state's worth of zombies all moving through somewhere at the same time while there's a tornado going on around them. Patrick, did you want to chime in on anything? Since I cut you off a couple of times.
Well, multiple times. It's fine. Who's counting? I have seen 3 of the 5 seasons of this show, and I had to give it a rest after season 3 just because I quite enjoyed the earlier stuff, but it just got to a level of ridiculousness, even within the context of a zombie thing, that just kind of threw me, which is a shame because I know that quite a few people, I know that you're watching, so I'm trying not to spoil it. There is a moment that comes within the first 2 seasons where quite a lot of the community talks about how that was kind of where the show ended for them, and I have to agree, in terms of like the strength of the narrative, it probably did die around there. It does some interesting and fun things later on, like there is a person who's immune to the virus. I don't know if you've met them yet, but you will. Who does, sorry, not virus, but just the zombie-ism, the zombie effect, whatever you want to call it. And there's some interesting ideas that are played with there, but it just becomes a little too... Yeah, it's really hard to explain. Like, not bloated. It's not that they run out of ideas. It's just that
they stretch them out a little too long.
Yeah, the direction that they take the show in just falls over a bit, because I really liked the early seasons of it, and you felt like you were right there with the audience. But so weirdly, I think partially what it is that the character group that you become familiar with, not necessarily that character group, but just a lot of the protagonists in the show, because more are added in later seasons. They do the Lord of the Rings thing where they just split up, and so then you follow the different stories as they go. But the problem is that because they start getting more ridiculous, that when they swap to these different stories, you just kind of get taken out of it, because you'll go from one ridiculous story to a different, contextually similarly ridiculous story. And it kind of loses the this is the end of humanity as we know it type thing, and turns it more into a like almost more lighthearted in tone. It's really annoying, honestly, because so much of the early seasons, like even the NSA guy is great, and the NSA guy does quite a lot more interesting stuff through seasons 2 and 3, but as I remember, because I ended up reading further into what the series had to offer to decide whether or not it was worth continuing. And he plays a major role through the later seasons of the show as well, in one capacity or another. Try not to give spoilers. But the overall direction of the show across the seasons just takes this weird tonal shift. And I think the community is right in terms of being able to point to a couple moments earlier on where that shift occurs. So I'd be curious if you've enjoyed season 1 so far, because I did as well, but whether that same enjoyment is there for seasons 2 and 3, because it became a real slog to decide to continue watching after the end of season 3.
Yeah, so touching on one of the earlier points you made, Season 1 already has played around a little bit with splitting the group. I can't remember the exact situation that happened to... Oh, right. So, 2 of the characters went ahead to find supplies, but that was kind of a lie by one of them. He wanted to get his girlfriend alone and talk about running away together. And while they were away, the rest of the group had to keep going forward because of the zombie tsunami that was chasing after them. So when
zombie tsunami, eh?
Yeah, they call it a zoonami in the in the
that's
show.
right, the tsunami.
Okay, that's funny.
So when the 2 that split off originally come back and see that the group's gone, that's kind of like formed a 2 or so episode situation where this groups are split, and then it's kind of interesting to see like a little bit of like, okay, here's how 2 people survive on their own, but that episode also kind of got turned on its head because it was doing a Groundhog Day sort of episode where one of the characters kept reliving a dream over and over again until they overcame a repressed memory.
Is that the one near an oil derrick?
Yeah, I think so. Might have either an oil derrick or just a general warehouse. Yeah,
okay. So it's honestly kind of fucked that I remember that episode because that episode sticks out in my mind, and not because it was good.
Yeah, it repeats the cycle a little too many times.
Yeah. You said that you've seen all of season 1, right?
Yes.
Run me back through how season 1 ends because I don't remember the season finale so good.
Okay,
whoa,
so
spoilers.
So we'll just skip to.
Oh, I'm sorry, Steve. Are you gonna watch Z Nation? You're gonna finish this episode? You'll be like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, I'm gonna go watch Z Nation.
So
when
just
you say it in a voice like that, you make it seem like I'm being sarcastic.
Well, now you have to.
Yeah.
Old Steve would have done it.
Oh well, fuck you, man. You know what? I'm downloading it right now.
It's on Netflix. You don't need to download it.
I don't not have Netflix, my friend.
Oh well, then yeah, go ahead and download it.
The only streaming service
one of the negative million users on Netflix, huh? I see you.
Yeah. The only streaming service I subscribe to is Xbox Game Pass.
Here's the beginning of their downfall.
Good.
Why their stocks are starting to take a downfall.
I will take this streaming services apart brick by fucking brick. Bring back Blockbuster.
Oh, Blockbuster was the best days. Anyway, just skipping to the ending. The last episode in general. It starts off by showing like who the main villain is going to become. Really weird thing to do in the final episode. And yeah, he's kind of going around extracting fluids from people's brains that are on the verge of turning or just about to die. And yeah, the team gets sent to Fort Collins where they're told the doctor got sent there and they've got to go over to her there, and they find more patients that have been experimented on and in much worse states than the zombie situation is on the outside. It's like basically mutated variants underground, and they even find patient 0, the first ever person that was turned, and he's been sitting there as like just a decomposing head and torso for years now, and one of the only words he says is that after giving them like a message by tapping on a computer spacebar, he wants them to watch a video on there to find out what's happened, and the only wish he has is kill me. And then when the villain shows up, he says don't trust the doctor, like in very hushed tones. We also start going into a direction where Murphy, the guy that's taken the vaccine, he's starting to form psychic links with zombies. He's somehow becoming the king of them.
That's right.
Yeah, it's been happening for a couple of episodes now, but he bites people to start putting his infection into them, or just general zombies around him won't attack him. But he can kind of force people to do his bidding now. But yeah, the very, very final moments of the show this season is that he escapes Fort Collins, and everyone's like on this mad dash out because he's broken out of the quarantine area without doing decontamination first, and that set off a chain reaction of nukes being sent all over America to just bomb out anywhere that might have vital information or testing grounds on these zombies, including NSA guy. He's going to be getting attacked. And the season ends on NSA guy looking at a missile heading towards his base. We don't see any impacts or anything. It just kind of ends there.
Neat.
Yeah, cool. Well, I look forward to hearing you discuss the later seasons because I remember bits of that. I remember finales. I remember a season finale, or at least a climax of the show, into season 2. Pretty sure it was season 2, which was interesting. So I'd be curious to get your thoughts on that if you're going to stick around with it. But anything else you want to add to Z Nation, Seth?
Yeah, I enjoyed the first season. It's like it's very much a zombie show of the regular ilk, but it works. Zombie shows are they're popular for a reason. That's because you just get a lot of like character writing out of them. So when characters are written well, they're very fun to watch, and there's a lot of fun characters in this. So far, it's doing a lot of the right things for me. I'm not sure when I'll get to season 2 though. Whenever that happens, I'll bring it up.
Sweet, thank you for that, Saif. I guess obligatory out of 10.
Yeah, I was just about to ask.
7, I guess. 7 out of 10 sounds good.
Yeah, I'd probably give season 1 a 7. I think. Yeah, you know what? No, not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. Yeah, season 1
ever
agree.
again?
7.
It's a shame.
Well, not never again. Not for a month after we finish with this episode, Steve. But you gotta wait until.
But this guy, you got an answer for everything, don't you?
Yeah, well, I have to, because I know that as soon as I step away from the mic, chomping at the bit, bloody rookie over there wants to go. Oh, I want to be the host now. So gotta lay him out. Gotta put him in his place. Speaking of which, 2 Point Campus.
Right, 2 Point Campus. I think it was about a month ago.
Definitely a couple weeks. Yeah.
Yeah, so it essentially came out to Game Pass. I played a couple of hours of it, and I was like, all right, cool. Came out the 9th of August, so it's been pretty much a month. And I played like an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I'm like, okay, this seems neat. I'll see if I stick with it. And because I literally cannot put games down when I start playing them, I continue to play it. And it's become a weird part of my morning routine. So I'll wake up.
That sounds like a red flag.
Let me finish the story. So I wake up at 6 a.m. every day.
Definitely a red flag.
Monday to Friday. I play on my phone for 15 minutes. And then I get up, get changed, go for morning walkies, get home at roughly around 7 o'clock, make myself a coffee, watch one episode of the anime Haikyuu, which is like a volleyball anime, very good. I'll just plug that while I'm here. And then I'll play about 30 minutes of 2 Point Campus before I walk over and sit at my designated workstation within my own house, if you would.
I would not.
Oh, okay. So it's essentially one of those business simulation games, like more of a roller coaster tycoon type of simulation, and I use that word with air quotes, even though I really no one can see me, because you essentially got a campus, you've got like a university campus, sorry, and you've got to make money, get students into classes, develop your students so they graduate in between 3 to 5 years in their designated courses. You provide them with dormitories for them to sleep, food for them to eat, bathrooms to poop, showers to shower in, and all that. Things to have parties on, etc., etc. There is sort of like as usually with these things, there's a sandbox mode. You can pretty much do whatever you want, but I'm sort of going with I do not want to say story campaigns, but it's more... They're campaigns in a sense, as in like there's different levels, and you've got to work within the confines of that to get 3 stars. And that's just for achieving different tasks, whether it's like grow your campus to level 20, have average happiness or up 75%, have 100 students graduate, etc., etc. It is one of those games that I'll play half an hour of it and I'll just put it down and I'll be like, okay, that was fun, but I don't really need any more, because it's a lot of like, it is very hard to lose. Well, I don't think that you can lose in this game. Like it's obviously designed as sort of an easier type of one of these business management games, because it's not like if you ever spend a little bit too much and then your bills come out at the end of the month and you lose a bunch of money, you're always like in the red. Like it doesn't like kick you out and say, oh, you've got another month to sort of fix up your financial situation, or else capitalism's going to come down and kick you out. So I've never really felt like worried that I'm going to lose anything, and I'm never really worried about like overextending, because like you can get like a fair amount of loans that can sort of like cover your bases and sort of just get you back on track anyway. If you do sort of overexpand a bit too fast, you pretty much essentially take a loan to sort of cover the costs until you can get more money the next month. I'm having fun with it. It's very sort of, I set everything up and I sort of like let it play on 3 times speed. And if there's like a need that needs to be dealt with, or the year ends and then you've got to upgrade your classes, and because you're upgrading your classes, you need more teachers or janitors or different lecture theatres, and you can upgrade equipment, etc., etc., etc. But at the end of the day, it's essentially like the numbers go up type of game. There is, I haven't seen a fail state because it is so easy. The game practically puts you on a very easy to path, and you probably could take yourself off the tracks and do something wrong and essentially bankrupt yourself. But you would have to be going out of your way to do that, and essentially everything just.
So it sounds like it gives you the university grant experience. Yeah,
of course, yeah, except without the lifetime of crippling debt.
Oh, don't get me started on that. I had a bad email last Friday.
Oh no, the tax man's coming. I guess stay tuned for
crippling debt.
Yeah, good luck with that. But it relishes in this humor of campus. Like, there's a bunch of clubs you can join. Oh, sorry, at university. Like, there's a bunch of clubs you can join. But it is sort of centered on the American style system with, like, sort of you pay your tuition money and then you live on campus, you make your best friends and you fuck off. So you can set up, like, clubs for your people to make friends with. You can set up individual sort of, like, areas and scenery things where people can either make friends with themselves or like there's like a couple sort of thing. So if you put like heart-shaped things down, people couple up, and then you eventually unlock it's a 2-person jumping bed, and it's like, it's pretty strange, but it's obviously implied it's for sex, but because it's like a E for everyone game, it's like, what else can people do on a bed except for jump on it? And I'm like, that's pretty fucking bit on the nose. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. If people do like Roller Coaster Tycoon or those type of games, you probably will enjoy this as well. I'm not really sure if I had bought this game at full price, I'd probably be a bit, oh, is that sort of it? Because it is, on the face of it, there isn't much depth to it. It's if you're the students you've got have a need, it's easy to address that need. Like, it's not like as if there's something in the background that's like, oh, if you're putting food too close to your bathrooms, there's going to be a cross-contamination thing. It's just more like they've got a food need, they've got a bathroom need, sort it out however you want. There is a bit of a attractiveness of the campus that sort of comes into play, but unless you've got like rocks in your head, that's pretty much just don't overload the rooms with too much staff. Yeah, I don't know how much more. I can probably rant on it for a bit longer, but it is very much a business simulator. It is pretty good. I would be pretty... If someone paid for this full price, I'd be like, all right, that's good on you, I guess. But I've only played it because it's on Game Pass, and I did hear a lot of good things about its prequel, 2 Point Hospital. And I thought this would be pretty good as sort of like I haven't played a business simulator game like this for a while. And it's pretty good. I'm having a fun time. I'm sort of at the point where I think I've gotten like 12 campuses to 3-star, and I think there's a total of 15. So I'm at the tail end of it. I don't really expect it to do anything different. Yeah. Any questions? Thanks for listening to my Stephen talk.
I don't know. Is it?
Yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those games. Like, it is exactly what you think it is.
Yeah. So that's kind of the thing, right? So I think of like business simulatory games, and I think of like Zoo Tycoon, Roller Coaster Tycoon, that kind of thing. But the whole draw of a game like that is like building out the theme park, building out the zoo. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if building out a university sounds that fun, but is that kind of what it's going for?
That is what it's going for. Like, it is very tongue-in-cheek with like the different courses it offers. Like, it offers like, there's a night school where like, yeah, literally training to become like a knight of the realm. There's wizard school where you learn like spells and potions and all that kind of stuff. there's like a clown school if you're so desperate for that classy, you want to play for it. It's very
I can't believe you slipped that in.
I'm not going to apologize. Fuck you. It is. Yeah. It is. It's more fun than what you think managing a university campus would be. Like you can sort of organize parties as well, but it's just sort of like you press a button to organize an event, and that's sort of it. And they get a boost of happiness, and that's sort of it.
Do you get to drop students into debt that takes them 20 years to pay back? Or
no, you don't. You don't get to do that, unfortunately.
So it's not very realistic then.
Well, to be honest, the students pay the tuition fees and then they leave. It doesn't really follow their journey into getting a job or anything. But you can get a sort of state where, like, if students are really unhappy, they refuse to pay their fees. And then it's like, oh, you got to fix them up. And it's like, I'm not going to fix them up. I'm just going to expel them. Because if they've got really low happiness, they're dragging the average down. Fuck you. See you later.
So like an episode of The Simpsons where they're like, we need to improve the average IQ, and then they just like get rid of the dumbest students.
Yeah, and they drop
they
like
take
second
out
grade or
like
something.
Bart, Nelson, and Millhouse, I think, and a couple of other students, and take him out on a field trip, just while everyone else is doing tests.
Yeah, so they don't sit the test. That's right.
Yeah, but it's a fairly good game. If you're into business simulators, I'd recommend checking it out through Game Pass. I don't think it has the depth or necessarily the replayability isn't the word. It's more about like the campaigns that I'm doing are pretty much, or the levels are essentially the same thing. They've just got different flavors to them. Like in the night school, you've got to make sure that your knights have enough area outside. If you've got Game Pass, you live in the dream because it came out on release on Game Pass. And I'm, once again, Game Pass. Mwah. But at the same time, I think the asking price is like $60, and I do not think it is worth the $60. But then, at the same time, I've probably put 20, 25 hours into it so far, and I've had a good time, but I get to about, like I'll play it on the weekend sometime for about an hour, and I'm like, okay, I'm sort of done, and I'll put it down. And there are times when it's like I'm sort of waiting for like an average to go up or for a certain amount of classes to run. So I'll like just put it on 3 times speed, put the controller down, play my phone. Oh, look, it made the noise. I've got 3 stars. Yay, time for the next one.
It sounds like a mobile game.
And in some aspects it is. And probably something that I don't want to talk about because it makes me look like the fool that I am, is that this is a business simulator game that involves a lot of clicking and going through menus. I'm playing that on a controller. And it does work in a certain sense. And now that I've gotten the hang of it, I know I press the X button, the right bumper 4 times, and then I'd go left, and I'm in like the campus overview menu. And that's, I sort of gotten that. It's just essentially a hotkey with extra steps. And it does sort of...
If you're pressing every key.
Yeah.
It's 20 hotkeys at once.
I think the word you're looking for is macro, but it's not even a recorded macro. It's just
Yeah, I know, it's
doing
not.
like 5 or 6
You're
button
still doing
presses.
it.
It's a borderline
Just
combo
muscle
at
memory,
this stage.
baby. Let's go.
Yeah, and it's...
Sounds like
at
you
the
need a
start-
mouse and keyboard for your Xbox.
I think it supports it at the moment, so maybe I should have gotten one. But at the same time...
Pretty sure it does, yeah.
I get the wireless one out. But at the same time, like it was a bit frustrating at the beginning because it doesn't really tell you how to get to certain areas. It says, oh, just click here, but you're not really given a cursor for the menus. You have to like press a button to go
Game
into
was
the menu.
designed for PC and then ported to Xbox, and they never bothered to change anything.
It sort of feels like it's obviously designed for mouse and keyboard, and they've tried to do
It's like the
a
Civ
controller
bots.
support, but they haven't done it in like an intuitive way. Like they was like, oh, we want to put it on with controllers, but we don't want it just to port over like a mouse. So they've tried to be like, oh, you can press the buttons, do this, this, and this, and then you're limited by the buttons and the triggers, and it's like, well, what are we doing here? Just give me a fucking pointer. And it gets a bit janky as well. Like if you're trying to go like 3 or 4 levels down, it sometimes sort of forgets where you are and doesn't tell you, oh, hey, you actually don't have a prerequisite for this room. And it's just sort of like, you can't get out of this menu now. And I'm like, let me get out of it. And it's like, oh, okay, I didn't put a door on it. And everybody's stuck inside. But yeah. All right then. So I reckon it's a solid 7 out of 10, to be honest.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, like I'm having fun.
What if you paid $60 for it?
I didn't pay $60.
Yeah, but what if you did? Would the score change?
Probably not, actually, to be honest. I'd probably just... See, maybe this is a discussion for another deep dive. The money I pay up front shouldn't really impact the score in the game. I'm just a lot happier with the game.
What do you mean? It absolutely should.
Absolutely does.
Yeah, see, that's why
if
I said
I pay $700 well, actually, if I pay $500 for a Harry Potter game and don't get all the content, then
what about $300 for a God
game.
of War game where you don't get the physical disc?
Gee, Josh and Saif, that seems like oddly specific numbers and games to bring up. Something you want to tell us?
No,
I've ranted enough about it. But that would definitely affect my score. Same as if a game was like $5 and I'm like, wow, this is like, like indie games is a great example. Hades was like $30, and that's one of the best games I've played in years.
Yeah,
100% affected the score as well.
No, I paid $350 for Final Fantasy 15. I still would have paid it as much as if I paid 10.
I wouldn't have paid $10.
$350. Jesus, big fella.
Imagine paying more than the Final Fantasy game number.
That's 15.
I will enjoy playing Final Fantasy 7 for $7.
I got Type 0 for like $5 and it was not worth that. So I guess because it's
obviously you needed just Type 0.
Yeah, exactly. I needed to get it for free before I would have enjoyed it.
What can I say? They call me the ideas man.
Rat, I'm the ideas man. Yeah, but the too long didn't listen. 7 out of 10. Business Simulator on Game Pass. It's pretty good. Thumbs up.
Wow.
Good chat. Dabs.
Yeah, thanks. Refuses to elaborate, even though he elaborated for 16 minutes. Thank you.
16 minutes. All right, man. You guys should have stopped me.
Walks in, elaborates, stays.
won't leave despite our best efforts.
Yeah. Walks in, elaborates, everyone else leaves.
Gets domesticated.
What a strange thing to say.
Cool. Right. At this point, we have a crossroads. Do we want to talk about XP grinding, or do we want Josh to elaborate on his week? Open to the floor.
I've got really nothing to say about Tarkov, so...
Okay, cool. So, XP grind discussion we shall have. So, all of this basically stems from kind of two things that came up. One, I saw something on, I think it might have been Alpharad. It was definitely Alpharad reference. Oh, no, that's exactly what it was. It was Alpharad. It was his video on how easy it is to do a Nuzlocke, which was kind of a video response to Pokemon Challenges, which is a different YouTube channel. And in that, he talked about how he, after having done it, was now a fan of having infinite rare candies for Nuzlocke challenges. So, we'll come back to that. The second part was that, as of recording this, we had the Scarlet Violet trailer last night / this morning, as I mentioned. And during that, they talked about auto battles, how you can just send your Pokemon out and it'll just go and battle and earn XP and items and basically do the grind for you, but you don't have to be sitting there watching it. You can go and do other things, which I guess is a similar mechanic to like AFK Arena and all the other sort of like mobile games of, hey, we get that your time's valuable. Why don't you just grind, but grind on the off time? So the question for the group, I have typically been someone who prides themselves on the sheer amount of time that I can devote to something. What I mean by that is, I, without any kind of like good Masuda ditto or anything else, always prouded prayed. I always prayed myself on being able to just like put enough time into Pokemon to just breed good Pokemon, like the real like 5 IV, nice nature, nice egg moves, that type of shit. And it kind of threw me because Alfred's video came out probably a couple weeks ago now, definitely a couple weeks ago now, and it never really occurred to me of if you're doing a Nuzlocke, the challenge of the Nuzlocke isn't how many levels you can grind through, it's the challenge of skill basically within a battle. And ideally you want to remove things like the advantage that you could have from a level cap. And so to that end, Pokemon Challenges is a big advocate of just putting infinite rare candies into Nuzlocke mods. And Alpharad, at least as of his video, is also a fan of that. So I guess the question that I have to the group is, grinding is often a mechanic in video games where you put in time and you get out usually just kind of like a higher number type stat. But I've sort of I used, if you'd asked me this 2 weeks ago after seeing the Alpha Red Pokemon Challenges video, I'd be like, oh no, fuck no. Like grinding is still my thing. Like I much prefer to grind than take the coward's approach of just getting infinite rare candies. But now I'm not so sure, because it seems like even Game Freak is also embracing that way by introducing things like the auto battle. So I kind of want this to be more of like a deep dive into like the mechanics of, or like how a grind mechanic in video games works, and like what sort of examples it's a useful thing, what sort of examples it's not so useful. And this doesn't even have to be about Pokemon, by the way. Like I'm weirdly proud. I don't really understand why I'm proud of this, but I am quite proud that in Borderlands 2 and 3, and then to a lesser extent Tiny Tina's, when I make a new character, I have that character grinding to the highest level. And in Borderlands 2, that looked like just fighting the bunker, which is just some boss and over again, just for the XP. Similar in Borderlands 3, just fighting basically finding a pattern that gives me XP and just optimizing that route and doing it until it's zenith to just get that sweet XP for that number to go up. But I don't know. Part of me is wondering if maybe that's not the right way to approach things. So I guess I'll open up the floor, because I don't really have a structured discussion outside of this, and I don't really want to throw it to people that aren't ready. But does anyone have any thoughts on this? Has anyone been thinking about this, or am I just completely off base?
No, I thought about it as well when I saw that auto battling feature that we'll talk more about in the news section. I think because we're incredibly vague on what those details actually are, whether it is essentially for grinding or if it's just like a tool to find items or the EV train or something. Personally, I think if you have to grind in a video game, it is artificially bloating the timeline in how it takes to finish the game. Like, if there's like an unfair level jump and you have to grind and you have to go out of your way to make sure you reach the level, that I think it's quite unfair. It's halting your progress to do a mundane, tedious task where, like, my life outside of video games is tedious and boring, and I don't want to grind when I'm having fun playing video games. It's probably a different...
kind of disagree with that, but go on.
Well, so within that vein, Steve, you're saying that if you had infinite rare candies, that you would use those and you would just level whatever you wanted up to whatever level it needed to be. Is that where you're at?
Yes, but having infinite rare candies cheapens the experience, because then you can just over level, and then what's the point? What are you doing? There's no challenge there. So
okay,
there's like
so even that's interesting, right? Because I agree. I think fundamentally that's where my position is, but I don't really know where that line is. So where's that line for you? Because I agree, infinite rare candies does cheapen it, but at the same time, grinding for grinding's sake is too much. So there has to be a line somewhere in there. I'm not saying, I'm not asking you to define where the line is, but what sort of thing would you look for in an XP mechanic where it feels grindy, or like it feels challenging but rewarding, and where would it feel either too cheap or too grindy?
So the only way I can probably quantify it is if you're probably playing your stock standard RPG, not just Pokemon, if you're playing even a JRPG of some description, and if you're doing the main story, you should be able to complete the entire game without getting stuck because an enemy is 5 or 10 levels above you if you're only doing the main story. There are sort of questions around if there are side stories, maybe you should be able to be doing side stories and sort of extra content to sort of not pad it out, but to give you more experience or different gear or equipment. And that's probably another part of this discussion as well. If you're just talking about leveling one thing where it's your Pokemon or your character, that is one thing. But if there's levels or different equipment you can put up, it's also different. So in Pokemon, you've got your levels and that's all fine and good. But if you've got like a level 50 Charizard that only knows Scratch and Growl, you're not really going anywhere. You still need to essentially learn new moves. And that's a different part of the discussion as well. But Josh, I can almost feel your rage boiling over to a point.
Not really, to be honest. I'm in two minds about this. And okay, so in what you would consider to be a traditional Nuzlocke, catching Pokemon on the first route, whatever, like just purely in terms of Pokemon stuff, I think that the rare candies are overkill. I don't think you should have them. But in the games that I've played in a lot of the Nuzlockes that I enjoy, there's a level cap, and that level cap is whatever the highest level Pokemon the gym leader has. Or is it the lowest? It really depends on which kind of Nuzlocke you're doing. But basically, you can't go above the gym leader's level of the Pokemon that you get that's next up on the route. So pretty much every single Nuzlocke that I've played and enjoyed or watched other people play, they'll use rare candies to get whatever Pokemon they need up to that, because otherwise they're grinding and it's literally just dead time. Same thing as like grinding for money so that you can buy TMs, whatever. It's like at the end of the day, the game's not about that. It's about how hard because the ones that I've played are
it's about how
heavily
hard you get hit and keep moving forward.
No, specifically custom ROMs, right? So custom ROMs usually have difficulty tweaks, and the ones that I like are bullshittingly hard. Very, very, very hard.
That's funny. That's the same difficulty you chose for life, I think. Is that?
I think
right?
so. Yeah.
No, it isn't.
But like, so it's like Pokemon Radical Red or Emerald Kaizo, if you've never played one of those ROMs before, will beat you into the ground. So they're, for those kind of games where it's like, whatever, it's literally about the skill of the battle and knowing how things are going to play out, almost like competitive Pokemon almost, then I think the grind is literally just a complete waste of time. If you're talking about grinding in a standard Pokemon game or a standard JRPG, then even then, I think the grind is necessary to an extent, but only as long as it continues the story. If you're doing main story and you're grinding via doing the main story, or you even have to do side content that is interesting and engaging, then that's fine. As long as the game is still like tight enough that you're not over leveling or under leveling if you're doing or not doing that side content or whatever. I think this needs to be almost like a closed loop, like things like Final Fantasy X, where you can continue fighting things and gain levels all you want, but there are certain keystones that are in the way, so you can't actually get the new abilities that are really going to make you that much stronger. So you're really kind of hard limited at that point of the story until you continue. I think that like a milestone mechanic, almost like D&D, how you have like milestone mechanics, if you choose to use them. I think that that's a good system, but it's really hard to say because it really depends on the game.
So let's just take a sec there, and then I'll throw it to you, Saif, in a minute. But within that, so the interesting part to me is that it sounds like you're on board with the idea of infinite rare candies if there's a level cap, but if there's not a level cap, the infinite rare candies would become cheap, and that's interesting for me. I'll let you respond in a sec. That's interesting for me because to me that says if I have less grinding to do, I would rather skip it entirely. But if I have more grinding to do, then having a shortcut would be cheap. Is that kind of what you were going for, or am I misinterpreting?
Pretty much. Like if the mods were for Pokemon that I was talking about were modded to the point where if I beat a gym leader, my Pokemon immediately level to whatever the next level cap is, and I just choose the moves as they level up or whatever, and choose where the stats go for EVs, that's perfectly fine with me because I'm not playing the game for, the grinding or the walking through routes or whatever. I'm playing it because I want to do the really hard battles.
At that point.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
I
like
want to
you're missing
do
half the fun. Like
so for a standard game, yes, but for the difficulty hacks, no. I'm playing it because I want to do the hard battles and the things that are like, okay, well, I need this type of Pokemon with these type of status moves, and I need to focus on like what's my win condition and build a team around that kind of stuff. So that's the stuff that I really enjoyed around that. But the grinding just takes away from it. Like, what's the point in me grinding money so that I can buy a TM, or grinding on certain Pokemon for EVs? I would rather just pay for the EV, like what you can in Radical Red. You just go, I want this EV at the Pokemon Center, and they just put it on your Pokemon. Or I want to have a Jolly Pokemon because I need this extra stat boost. So, okay, cool, swap it to Jolly. Don't have to go out and catch 40 more Pokemon. Why bother doing that grind? If I can just swap it and then I can just get straight into the next battle, that's enough for me. That's exactly what I want. But if you're talking about a regular game where your quest through the world and your story is there, then obviously that just cheapens the experience and ruins what that is. That's not what the game's about. It's not a hard game.
So for you, it's based on the objective of the gameplay loop that you're currently in. Exactly,
yeah. If grinding does not add to that in any way, then the grinding should not be in the game.
So does grind... Actually, you know what? No, first I'll throw it to Saif. Saif, what were you going to say?
Yeah, so with grinding, it's kind of like a push and pull sort of relationship where so I mostly agree with that if you're just doing the main story, then the main story itself should be leveling you enough to the point where you shouldn't have too much difficulty. Maybe a little bit of grinding, or you can be a little underleveled but still pass if you're using the correct strategies to get through it. I find that being within like a 5-level range of the next obstacle is about the good limit in most games. Like so if you're 5 levels underneath the boss, but you're still able to use your movesets and tool sets to overcome the challenge, and that's still a pretty good fair amount of leeway. But when it comes to like needing to grind to progress the story because it's just done a jump out of nowhere, I find that kind of annoying. But in other games as well, I find that the grind as part of the gameplay loop can be very fun and rewarding. Like moving away from RPGs for a moment, we go to Monster Hunter, where the whole gameplay loop is grind against a monster, get its parts, keep grinding until you get its rare drops, so you can make like a full armor set or a full weapon set, and now you're big and strong and you can take on the next big monster to do the exact same loop. That entire game is based around grinding, and it's an enjoyable sort of gameplay loop. Also with the Devil May Cry games, you not necessarily grinding, but every time you kill enemies or you do well in a level, you get more points which you can spend to increase your move pool or increase how well some of your moves working, like extending the range on certain attacks or making certain attacks deal a little bit more damage or extending the time that they're out. It's all working towards like this loop of you're slowly progressing and getting new tools to play with all through basically an XP system, and it all kind of comes together into something that is supposed to be a loop that feels good to do. And I find that if you took that away and you just had all the tools right off the bat, or you just have every weapon and armor set, then it's not as enjoyable to do those sort of things. And the same can happen with RPGs, where it's like doing it in RPGs is a push and pull. Like I said, I find if you can just do the story, have a little bit of a challenge but not too much going through the story, it's fine, and add some grinding so like you get your big number goes up to go fight the big number bosses because you want to do that. You want to hit, some people want to hit the level cap and go smash their head against something that's basically an immovable wall until they can find a strategy that works around that. And that's all well and good as well. And part of that is grinding to get up to that point and learning all the different skills and stat bonuses and everything throughout the game.
So there's one aspect to this that is interesting, because I don't think any one of you has really sort of touched on. So when I gave the Borderlands 2 example in terms of me liking to grind characters to max level, part of it is that I think there probably is a part of me that just enjoys finding a pattern, optimizing that pattern, and then reaping the rewards of the optimized pattern, which is just the grind loop. But for me, there's also a draw in, it's really hard to put this into words. It's not a gatekeepy feeling, but it's the idea that, let's say, because I have all of these characters at max level on Borderlands 2, that if, let's say, just because it sort of happened organically last week, Josh wanted to play Borderlands 2 briefly, there is an innate feeling of joy that I get knowing I have all of these different characters at max level, so that I have the flexibility to slot into whatever strategy I want to form with friends. And the reason I bring this up is because this takes the onus on, instead of it being a single player, I don't want to grind or I do want to grind because of the gameplay feedback loop. Part of the enjoyment in grinding for me is the idea that when I get to the end of it, I have the flexibility, or I have achieved something that is ordinarily harder for people to do, such that I reap the rewards from having done it compared to people that I play with. And that Borderlands 2 is an easy example, just because grinding to 72 is like the level cap, or at least the level cap as of the Sanctuary DLC. I think it might even be higher now. It might be 75 or something. But grinding to a particular level cap is fun for me, knowing that I then have the flexibility to use whatever I want because I've done it all. That's also the same with Deep Rock Galactic and other class-based games, where I will go out of my way to level up an under-leveled class just for that flexibility. And it's weird to me because the onus then isn't on me enjoying it as the single-player experience. It's the perceived enjoyment I would get if I played it in multiplayer with someone else. And the second part, so one, I'd like to get everyone's thoughts on that. The second part is that if you think about a game like Ratchet and Clank, particularly Ratchet and Clank 2, because for some reason that's the one that's on my mind, they give you upgrades if you use a particular weapon a lot. And I think we'd all agree that getting a perk for using a particular weapon a lot is ordinarily a good thing. But what I'd be curious to get from the group is whether, knowing that that is a system in place, whether you would go out of your way to level up weapons you wouldn't ordinarily touch, specifically because you know that if you use them enough, you'd upgrade them. Because I, again, as a point of pride, and this is a single-player game, so there's no onus on the flexibility multiplayer point that I made earlier, that if I do it all in single-player and maximize each weapon proficiency and upgrade each weapon to Ultra, that or rather, if I play through the game and have the option to upgrade weapons to Ultra, I will go out of my way to, as soon as the weapon that I am using hits Ultra, I will swap that weapon to any other weapon, just because as soon as I hit a point where the enemy that I kill could either be with a weapon and the XP goes nowhere because it's already max level, or goes somewhere and it's not max level and it levels up, that to me is also an XP or grinding mechanic. And that is also interesting to me because if I never had that option, I would never use some of these weapons. But at the same time, as soon as this is introduced, the weapons that I want to use most suddenly become weapons that I can't use because it's an efficiency trade-off that I'm not willing to make. So both of those points, I think, also factor into this discussion, and I'd be curious to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, no, Ratchet and Clank is a very good example because I do that. I do that with all the Ratchet games as well. I end up using a blaster for a lot of the run, and that gets maxed out very early in the game. And so I'll start using other weapons like the bombs. I'm not a big fan of, but using the blaster, the XP is going to go nowhere. So I might as well use the bombs and level those up. I also just find in general that Ratchet and Clank has a lot of fun guns to use. So I'm always in a gameplay loop in that game where I'm just switching things out. So everything's kind of getting the XP boost that they need. And again, that quest line of these things are slowly upgrading as you're playing the game. And once you reach the zenith point for them and they max out to their next level and they get that big change and bonus, it feels like a big reward for investing so much XP into them. With the Borderlands example, though, I'm kind of on the mind that if I'm playing that type of game, I want to be on the same level as the person I'm playing with. So if it, like Borderlands specifically, I'll want to do a fresh run with someone and we both start at level 1 and make our way through the game together and both level up along the same path.
I 100% get that point. I'm more thinking, one of our friends is probably a good example for this because he and I played Borderlands at the post game before they introduced the Sanctuary DLC before Borderlands 3. But we played through the post game together, and there were a couple times where he would only have 1 or 2 characters at level 72, and so he would be locked to 2 out of 6. Yeah, 2 out of 6 characters to play, and we would strategize and theorize like, okay, if only we had someone with a character like this at this level, that would really help the team, or that would really benefit the strategy.
Right. This comes more as an end game thing.
Yeah, so it's not about the disparity in getting to the end game, because I agree, starting a fresh account makes sense in that sense. It's, for some reason, I quite enjoy having the flexibility from having grind through all the characters to a particular max to a particular level, because for me that opens up all these different strategic possibilities, and that, even though that relies on other people, still factors into why I'm more than willing to grind in the single player sense, even though that is for a multiplayer goal.
Yeah, no, I completely get that, and I 100% agree with that. I'm kind of doing the same thing in Stranger of Paradise. When I'm playing that, I get as many classes as I can maxed out, because just having the flexibility of the different classes and being able to use any of their toolkits in a single player or multiplayer fashion in the end game just opens up the game's flexibility so much.
I think though it is,
Anything
I think
from
it's different,
you, Steve?
on how much fun you're playing the gameplay loop. Excuse me. It seems like you're having, like, you love just like myself, a true,
the Sigma grind set,
the loop of Borderlands 2, and I think I've done something very similar. I think one of the achievements was for Borderlands 2 when I was trying to hunt those, was like reach that max level, and it got to a point where it's like, okay, the only really thing you can do is that end game raid, essentially, is what it is.
Yeah, raid is
it's essentially the last thing you can do, and I probably did do it. Like, I set myself in a routine of, like, I'd put on some music or a podcast, and I'd do it for like half an hour, I'd be like, all right, cool, I'll come back to it tomorrow. And I did enjoy it for a while, but then it just got tiring, and it's just like, okay, it's the same thing, I'm done. And maybe that's because I was playing it by myself, it's a bit different. But if you do like the loop and you do enjoy that grind, like, as much as I hate the fact that I've had to grind in games before, I have had to grind in games before, whether because I'm over-leveled or I need a rare item that is a 1% drop rate for some bullshit achievement that I'm hunting. I have done it before. Yeah, Monster Hunter, don't get me started on. After this.
The Kingdom Hearts games all have a get to level 99 trophy.
God.
And Chain of Memories is a very bad game to get to 99 in.
Even PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale had a get a character to max level, and that was for each of the characters.
I don't think it was max, because max
Maybe
was
not max.
999 in that game. I think it was like get to 50 as a character.
Well, anyway,
I think it was 100, but like enough that looking at the list, you'd be like, yeah, that would be a lot of work.
I did it.
But
Get help.
I genuinely enjoyed that game.
Yeah.
It's not as good as Smash Brothers, but it was a fun alternative for a little bit.
Okay. So that's a good distinction, right? That's a really good distinction right there. So in Pokemon, maybe this is me coming to the conclusion while we're recording this, which would actually be kind of sick. So it seems like, because I think I broadly agree with what's been said. If the gameplay loop isn't about what the grinding achieves, then the grinding is superfluous, and it would be much easier to skip it, such as with the rare candies thing. But I suspect, maybe you can speak to this, Saif, because it was sort of your point, that something like PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale is a good example where the grind also ideally will help skill you up in that game, where if you are grinding each of these characters to level 50, 100, pick one, whatever the number is, that the expectation is you would be fairly well skilled at using that character, where, let's say the Borderlands 2 example, there's the flexibility that I get from having the multiplayer effect with other people, but me grinding the bunker over and over again for XP isn't upskilling my ability to play the game, whereas something like Monster Hunter would, right? Because if I'm grinding for that 1% drop, I would hope that I'm getting better at fighting the monster that I'm fighting for that 1% drop. Maybe that's the link that I'm missing.
I think, yeah. So one example that springs to my mind very recently is a new Diablo 3 season started. And I always play the new season. I don't know why.
Wait. You're not playing Diablo Immortal?
No. So
what, you don't have a phone?
Fuck. No, so Diablo 3 as a game.
That's a grind.
Right? Diablo 3 as a game. Diablo in general is literally just a grind. The entire game is grinding. You'll grind for items, you'll grind for EXP, you'll grind
all games
for
are really
Paragon
grinding.
levels, you grind
Yeah,
for,
you really think
exactly.
items,
Yeah. All of that. So why do you do it? What is enticing you to do it?
So that's the thing, right? So there is the leaderboard mechanic, which exists, which people grind for. And then there is the I want to be the absolute strongest I can possibly be with X items, X EXP level, whatever, Paragon levels that you're using. And that's the initial grind that I enjoy because that increases my enjoyment of the gameplay loop. So each season I will start and I will very rapidly hit the top like 100 worldwide in the leaderboard because I've done this so often, right? So I'll skyrocket up through there. I know exactly what items I need. And even though I've done it, dozens of times, I still enjoy it because I'm watching, numbers go up, gameplay loop get faster, more enjoyable. It becomes about like reaction time and skill. And then there'll be a point where I teeter off after about 3 or 4 days or week of playing, where I've gone quite high in the leaderboards. I know what I need to do to go further up if I want to crack like top 10 or whatever, and I don't want to do that grind because that grind is no longer increasing the gameplay loop. It is literally doing the same loop over and over and over again, which becomes like just a slogfest. Like it's just you're no longer improving and actively gaining skill or anything else. You're staying at a level where you're making very minor adjustments, and that's just not fun anymore. And that's the problem with, I think, having a grind in a game and then having a true grind. Like if you're grinding because you're achieving something and you're continually getting better, it's fine. But if you're grinding for 100 EXP to level up a Pokemon and you need to kill 40 of them to go up one level in an area, fuck it off. Like you just don't need it. If you're like, it's just redundant at that point.
Is the Diablo grind of you getting the strongest that you could ever possibly be in single player? Is that single player, or is that feeding into my like multiplayer / being able to play with other people at a high level idea?
So that's definitely the other part of it. So I enjoy doing the quote unquote single player grind of Diablo, where I am just doing my own loops. I'm focusing on what items I need. I'm doing whatever I need to do. But I mostly do, so I do one season, or I do the season every time with a friend, and we both level up at the same time. We both drop each other gear that we might need because you can share the loot between whoever's in the party. We'll both sort of go up the levels at the same time, go up, chase the same achievements, chase the same season goals that we need to hit. And it's fun because it's a multiplayer experience. I would still enjoy it by myself, but because we play hardcore, if one of us dies, then we need to restart everything we did from that season, which is kind of rough. But having a max level character that can do max level, the max difficulty stuff means that I can very easily boost him up and run him through that stuff if his character does die, so that we can get him back up on his feet and vice versa. It requires both of us to die to truly end the season, which does happen. But it's rare. But like those moments where it's like, oh, cool, no worries, I can give you a hand, I can save you 10 hours of time or whatever. There'll be people talking in like the main chat for Diablo, like, hey, I died, can someone give me a hand? And it becomes like a social experience again. That grind becomes almost worth it, but then that's very short lived. So I don't really know how that fits in. If I'm grinding because I want to do something for a multiplayer experience, is not as much of a grind for me. But I think that's more just you have another goal, as if like you were leveling, you were increasing skills, you were doing whatever. It's just another goal to add to the list. If your only objective is I want to be stronger, I want to be faster, it's not enough, I think.
Look, at the end of the day, as long as you're it's a grind you can have fun with, as opposed to a grind that's a chore, is probably the differentiation. That's probably why the grind.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm telling you, fellas, please, I'm just expressing my opinions. But Monster Hunter, for me, I find that game is, you get to a point and it's like, okay, this is literally a grind and it's a chore. And it gets to a point where it's like, okay, the random number generator didn't feed me the correct number. I'm getting an item I can't use, and that's just like, yeah.
Well, to an extent, yeah, but there's also like almost what I call a pity mechanic in Monster Hunter games these days, where if you don't get something, you can basically craft that 1% or 3% drop item.
Yeah, that's true. That is, but I want the equipment now.
It kind of fixes that grind problem that game has.
It's still, the idea of Monster Hunter is to kill monsters to get better gear, to kill monsters to get better gear. But all games are a grinder.
Yeah.
Okay, you're describing Monster Hunter, yes.
Yes, but the difference is that you'll start with weaker monsters and you will theoretically get better and better and better with your weapon, and you'll build better armor with better skills and start learning how to stack things better. But by the time you face an enemy at the end that is like a quote-unquote end game boss, then that monster would have been insurmountable for your start, not just because of gear, but because of skill cap, because of like abilities that you didn't have. So you're actively gaining throughout that entire game as you progress. So it's obviously, if you've played Monster Hunter games before with the same weapon, etc., then it's only small adjustments you need to make, but it is there. There's more than just grinding for items in Monster Hunter. It's a grinding of like skill as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Conscious of time, so I'm gonna wrap it up here. But best and worst grind mechanics in games. Anyone got any standouts for best or worst?
Idle mechanics.
Yeah, they're definitely the worst. They can be mitigated though by like double or triple time
idle mechanic
speed. Like if you have to grind levels up and you can hit a button, like in Final Fantasy X, the HD remake of that is a fantastic example because you can put things on. It's like I think it's double, triple, or quadruple speed.
Cool. So when I said any standouts and you spent 60 seconds talking about Final Fantasy X, what you meant to say was Final
the
Fantasy
mechanic
X.
itself. Sorry.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Steve. No, I'm just looking for standout games in terms of
you're talking mechanics. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's why I said idle mechanics. Best and worst games for grinding for me. I think the best game for me has to be Monster Hunter, because the gameplay loop is the grind.
Because if it wasn't, you'd feel real stupid for spending as many hours as you have.
Oh yeah, I think the worst game I've ever played for grind has probably got to be almost any MMO. Like very very specifically a game called Redstone Online, which no one will know. But then closely following that would be like classic WoW almost. There is just grinding for the sake of grinding, and it goes on for days, and there's no fun or enjoyment in any of it. So MMOs are very particularly like that because they just want to keep your sub. So
anything from you, Saif? Best or worst?
Best, Monster Hunter or Devil May Cry. Worst, I'm not too sure. Probably anything mobile game related, because so much of that is based around just give us money to avoid the grind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Common theme with that one. I probably agree. I can't think of other ones in terms of standouts. Monster Hunter definitely up there. Borderlands, I don't really know if that's because of the grinding mechanic or if it's just because the other parts of the Borderlands experience feed into why I enjoy the grinding mechanic. Worst, it's just because it's in my mind, but something like Pokemon Unite, where they give you in-game currency to use after each game, but then they limit it on a time basis of you can only earn this much currency based on day or week or what have you.
Yeah,
the ones where people work out the math, and it's like you need to constantly win for like a week straight, still playing like 6 hours a day. It's like, those are all terrible.
It's a very free-to-play thing in general. There was a War Thunder thing that came out where it was like you could literally play this every single day for 12 hours a day and do nothing but exceedingly well top of your team, and you would still not get the stuff that was in the free battle pass without buying levels. It was like literally just impossible. And the same thing happened with like, what was it, Battlefront 2?
Yeah, something like that,
yeah. I was waiting for someone to bring that up.
Yeah, I mean that was a paid game, which makes that worse. But like it's
so that one I don't necessarily count as a grinding mechanic, because that I guess that was grinding to unlock it as an in-game thing.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, there are a few different issues
that was in the game that you bought. Yeah.
Yeah. No, fair enough. Yeah. Anyway, I'm happy to wrap the discussion up here. I just think it's interesting because final thought. Yes or no? Are you going to use the auto battle mechanic in Scarlet Violet?
It's there, so
at the same
yeah.
time. Yes, I said it. I said my catchphrase.
Yeah.
We don't know the specifics of it.
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen, you send a Pokemon off in advance ahead of you, so it could be doing things like cancelling out wild battles. It's finding items, we know for sure. It could be used for a whole bunch of different things. So
I think they actually said that you can send it out so you can look for items while it does other things.
okay, maybe that's what it was. But we don't know enough about it. But in short, I will use it if it's a mechanic required to do certain things, which in every Pokemon game it'll be needed. You can probably only find certain evolution items or something like that. So yeah, that'll be the way that you evolve a Pokemon you watch. It'll have to defeat X amount of auto battles. But so will I use it if it's a required mechanic? Yes. Will I use it otherwise? Probably not.
That's how you evolve your bike.
Probably. I don't know.
That's
probably
your
ride
bike
X amount
things.
of kilometers.
Yeah.
Or miles if you're from the colonies.
That's it. I'm going.
Wow. Yeah. So similar boat. I just don't know enough about it, but I want to say no because I appreciate the grind and I've ground my way through a lot of other Pokemon games, but at the same time, is there a difference between finding a QR code with a Blissey base on it or just using infinite rare candies? Perhaps not. So I don't know. Interesting discussion. Thank you for that, everyone. That concludes the deep dive. Yeah, lots of interesting stuff to take away, for me at least. Right, I guess that means we get to finish part 1 round the lounge for this week. Thank you to everyone for the discussion. And we get to move on to part 2 for this week, which is, of course, the news. And kicking us off this week, we have some Yakuza news. Can someone that has played any of the games tell me whether or not I should
you should.
care about
Yakuza
this?
games are...
Do you like RPGs? It's just 2 of us.
Well, that depends, Seth. See, really, it comes down to what sort of grinding mechanics there are in there. See,
actually, no, apparently Yakuza 7 has like a really bad
discussion
grinding section. Literally to pad the game out. Allegedly, I haven't played it. It is on my list.
Yeah, allegedly. I haven't played it either. All I know is that the game is basically Persona, but you're in the middle of your midlife crisis.
And you're a Japanese Yakuza.
Instead of being in high school.
Okay, so let's say I'm in the middle of my midlife crisis now. Does that make this news article more or less appealing?
Yeah, 100%
more.
I'd say it's the only news article you should be concerned about it in your entire life.
Yeah.
Okay, explain how.
Sweet and simple news. It seems like that they're going to announce Yakuza 8 on September 14. There's going to be a short stream where the studio, the Ryuga Gotoku studio, does their presentation of new games, and it's very likely Yakuza 8.
Yeah, there's been some leaks that have been dropping around. Apparently the guy... you know what? I'm not going to spoil it. But yeah, I'm very keen for this.
There's been some leaks. I'm not going to spoil it.
But it doesn't.
All right.
Even though no one's...
It wasn't even a leak. They just shared it.
The implication, I guess. But yeah, September 14, 1700 JST, which I think is an hour behind us.
About 8, 9 o'clock for us.
Will I be watching it?
Speak
Will I
to
be
yourself.
watching it? No.
Will I be watching it? Yes.
Really?
Yeah. It's at an early enough time where I can catch it.
Like play video games? Thanks.
Maybe edit the
Like,
podcast. I can edit the
read a
podcast
comic
while I
from
watch
the game
it.
of the year. No,
Actually, wait. Okay. It's a Wednesday,
That's
so
pop
it'll
trivia.
be before we record the podcast.
You mean next
Yes.
week?
when we're
Yeah,
not
we
When
don't
recording.
need-
I'm not here anyway. Bro, my corpse isn't even cold yet. Holy shit.
This corpse is still talking.
Anyway,
Get
next
it?
news story.
Holy shit, a corpse!
Speaking of corpses...
Don't do this.
No, you know what? I'm curious. I want to see where it goes. I want to unravel
Okay, so
the thread.
speaking of
Steve,
corpses
continue.
and how I was continuously made one in Elden Ring, they're making an Elden Ring manga.
You know what? That was actually not that bad.
It wasn't that bad. I expected worse, to be honest. I thought you were going to make a joke about how it's no longer the game of the year because Sonic was coming out, to be honest.
Only an insane person would say that.
Okay, well, the insane person in the chat
Okay.
thinks that whatever the fucking shitty Final Fantasy game was
It's not
called
even
is the
out.
game of the year, so...
Yeah, Stranger of Paradise is
Anyway,
100%
shut
the
up.
best game of the year.
Yeah,
But anyway, so there
fucking
is
mind.
an official Elden Ring manga coming, and it is a parody, allegedly. Yeah.
Like Arakawa.
Yeah, it is not. It is not taking the game's story or events seriously at all. It's not like a one-to-one what you'd kind of expect from a manga adaptation. They've decided to turn it into a comedy series.
The one thing I did expect from a manga adaptation, though, is that it looks a lot like Berserk.
Well,
Go figure.
he's up there.
Yeah.
Considering Berserk was like, a very huge inspiration for this whole series. Not that surprised.
To the point where they just have weapons in there from the Berserk series.
From Berserk, yeah.
I'm pretty sure characters are designed after them as well.
Wonder how many. Yeah.
But yeah, no, taking the Elden Ring events and turning them into a comedy sounds like a pretty fun idea to do.
The first 2 issues are called You Thought This Would Be Serious, Didn't You? And Probably Maiden. Very good.
Oh, the translation I see says the second one is called Likely Maiden. Also, for the record, the title of this is Elden Ring: The Road to the Erd Tree. If you want to go and look it up and read it.
I will. Yes.
Are we there yet?
Right.
Are there yet?
Speaking of Erd Tree, I Erd something today that would probably get to
He's
Josh.
always got a perfect
where,
fucking segue. He's always
that
got
got
a
to
fucking
me.
perfect segue, doesn't he?
You got a lot to live up to.
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, I can't segue it into anything that I care about in this next article because I really don't care that much about Hogwarts Legacy. But got to appreciate the segue for what it was. So, have some Hogwarts Legacy news. You get to import your house and wand into the game because the link's with Pottermore, right? Or no, Pottermore was the old one. What is it now?
The Wizarding World of Harry Potter.
Or was it
I wouldn't
Pottermore?
be able to tell you.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, okay, that was, yeah, so Pottermore and then Wizarding World and now part of Hogwarts Legacy. So, yay account synchronization.
Yay, giving my email address so they can spam me.
I think it's neat that that you can make a house and things now and just import it when the game comes out.
Slytherin bros.
So
we must rise up. We must bully everybody else.
That's just what I was about
You've
to
already
get
risen
into.
up. What do you mean? You've literally got an army and the evil dude in the head of it.
Okay, everyone. House check and Patronus check
I'm not looking
and one
into
check.
Thing, man. I don't, look, house check is the only thing that matters. Ones are literally like a dick measuring competition, and Patronus is I'm not going to use Patronus. What am I going to shoot out?
Definitely sounds like you're scared that
You
I'm
probably will. I've got a 6-incher. That's my magnum dong.
You know what? I actually saved these pictures earlier. So let me get to it. So
makes for great content.
Hold on. Mine was Hufflepuff. I got a sparrow and I got a hornbeam.
Sparrow. Oh, that's right. Mine was like a I can't remember. I was like a Slytherin.
You're a Slytherin grass snake with a pine wand.
It's got like a phoenix core as well, I believe.
And Patrick
and
is a Ravenclaw.
Wait, Seth. I got this. I am a Ravenclaw with a falcon and a tiny hat, and my wand is made of redwood.
Yep, and Josh refused to do it.
I got the knife that J.K. Rowling was threatened with.
I reckon that's a very Gryffindor thing to do. I'll see you in Slytherin then, big fella.
All right. Yeah, well, whatever, man. I am not indulging the series anymore. Grow up. I'm done. You can be transphobic all she wants in the corner.
Hey, just because some of us are late bloomers, all right, it'll happen. We just have to find platform 9 3/4. It's out there.
We get
right?
our letter when
it's
we're 11.
my
owl just got lost in the mail.
It's still flying, searching for me.
Your owl's still in the line at Australia Post.
Honestly, with Australia Post, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah.
Okay.
I'm still not sure about this game. I can't wait to get it in 10 years' time when it's free.
But it's not $500.
I will give secondhand experience talks about it because I will not buy it for $125.
I mean, $500, right?
Especially
you want
not
to get
that.
almost all the content.
Especially not that.
Fuck! I tried so hard thinking of one. I just couldn't. There's Dragon Ball Z news. Fuck it. No, it's completely ruined. Sorry guys. I've let you down. I've let me down. Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 DLC announced.
This
That's okay.
game
You're still a
refuses
superhero
to
me. No, this is great. What do you mean? Xenoverse 2 is excellent, and there's not another game that's gonna replace it because Kakarot was fucking shit. So I'm glad they're still updating the last good game they had.
You know, Fighters came
excellent.
after this,
yeah,
right?
Fighters, yeah, okay. they'll probably be added to Fighters though as well.
No, Fighters is done content-wise.
Oh wait,
They've
no,
already
they said
announced
it's
that.
done now.
Yeah, they're adding rollback netcode and then they're done with it, but they'll probably make a sequel.
Yeah,
The game was way too successful not to. No, I'm just surprised Xenoverse 2 is still going because there's talk that Xenoverse 3 is going to come out next year.
Yeah, but they need to hop on this hype now, so
yeah,
they need to release it on something to make money, and they've already said they're done with Fighters. So
yeah, and it's much easier to make a character in Xenoverse than it is in Fighters.
Yep. But yeah, I need to replay Xenoverse again at some point. But it was really, yeah, I do. I like it a lot.
But yeah, talking about the actual contents, they announced Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 are going to be coming. They showed Gamma 2 first, and they're doing a teaser for Gamma 1, but yeah, it's...
We know it's Gamma 1. I want to see them add Cell Max, but like just as big as he was.
I assume Gamma 1, Gamma 2 is like B1, B2 from the Bananas and Pajamas.
Kinda.
More than you think, yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. So they're from the new movie. Yeah, cool. Excited.
Right. And from the frontier of rollback netcode, best base netcode.
Let him have it.
we have something on another frontier.
Finally, they're releasing the Battle Frontier
Sonic
for us.
Frontier.
Finally.
Never ever keep.
Man,
is a Battle Frontier in the room with you right now, Stephen?
Right next to my medication.
Could you imagine how good episode 40 would be if that was the way that we ended it? Holy shit.
So that's episode 100, boys. Lock it in.
It's coming, I swear. My uncle at Nintendo told me.
It's a new Temtem on Xbox.
How much work it would be to make a mod for it? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Continue.
Well, much as no, you know what? No, that was terrible. Glad I didn't say anything. Sonic Frontiers, we have the ending theme song announced, Vandalized.
Can't believe someone's already finished the game.
Which
not even out yet.
How long are you holding on to that one for?
It doesn't matter. We got there in the end.
Well, Gamescom just happened and they forgot to turn on the time limit, so people were actually playing much further into the game than they anticipated, so I wouldn't be surprised if someone hit the credits.
I love the idea that someone can get an any % speedrun while at a Games Depot at a trade show.
My favorite was when someone did a speedrun of Sonic Forces, and the speedrun was fast enough for them to refund it on Steam.
Jesus.
Wow.
But yeah, no, this theme song, Vandalize, is fantastic. One OK Rock is also very good.
One OK Rock is so good. Listen to them if you haven't.
I also want to throw out there that this game is now on my good list because I've made this theory that any Sonic game that has vocal theme songs have a lot of soul in them, like Heart and Soul sort of thing. And so now this game having a vocal theme song means it has to be on that list.
Unless they're aware of your theory and then they're deliberately playing into your interest.
I think they became aware of the theory themselves when they made Infinite's theme in Sonic Forces. Even though it's a shit game, I've got to give them credit for hitting the nail on the head with that song.
You're right, Josh. It definitely strikes me as something Sega would do to look at the precedent.
They're the number one gaming
Seth
podcast.
has set.
Of course they would.
Yeah. Seth has set the precedent that this Sonic has to be good because it's got a vocalized theme song. And then watches Sega tanks it in the ground just to steal $100 from Seth.
No. I never said it has to be a good. It's going to be a good game. It just means it has heart and soul
Look,
in
if
it.
it's not Crash 40 doing the soundtrack, I don't want to hear it.
Absolutely based opinion. Crash 40 always nails it.
Are they still together? Probably not.
They are. They did the theme song for the Sonic Racing game that came out a couple years ago.
All Stars, man. Now that's a game.
No. Team Sonic Racing.
Oh, that's a game I haven't played. So I'm assuming it's a video game.
You shouldn't.
Sonic Riders, but what?
Oh, such a good game.
I'm not going to replay it, but.
Well, the next article that we can creed into is a bit of a shimmering on the horizon with Assassin's Creed Mirage being announced. We touched on this 2 weeks ago because it was the leak, and then we touched on it last week because they confirmed the leak.
No, last week was the leak. This week was the confirmation.
Yeah.
It was officially announced, yeah.
You're getting mixed up with 2 weeks ago. As I said, I wanted a Prince of Persia thing because I want more Arabian Nights games. And then last week, this leaked. This week, they confirmed it.
Woohoo?
Yes, yay.
Yay?
Yeah, we're
Nay?
at a solid
where we
yay.
at? Yay? All right, yay.
Yay,
Yeah.
because
I'm not
they
paying
also announced that they're
$125
going
for
to
it.
show it off on September 10th, so we'll actually get to see the game and
Actually, you know what?
everything
No,
it's going to do.
I want to change my answer.
My question is Will
We're
Smith
not
still
at a
playing the
yay,
genie?
we're at a nay.
I don't know the context
know.
for that.
I wanted to make a funny noise. I was worried you guys were forgetting me.
He saw the legendary Pokemon are mounts in the new Pokemon, so he was like, "Oh, they're horses," and he's just been thinking about it since.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah,
on top of
yeah, man,
on top of
I
Mirage
thought
being
it was
announced,
Well, it's all talk at once.
I thought it was
don't,
much more
don't steal
of a...
Steven's bit.
I thought Steve just couldn't wait to hold his horses because the follow-up to that article was talking about the number of new Assassin's Creed is announced.
God, they couldn't hold it in, could they? They were on a good track with like having one game every 2 years, and they're like, you know what? Let's do one game a year again. Let's push our luck, and that instantly tanked for them. And now they're back with on their shit like, let's announce multiple games a year.
It'd probably be like
Oh,
It's a-
Ubisoft's
yeah,
good
probably like
mobile
weird
game,
mobile
though.
games or weird side scroller games because they did that with China and Russia
The-
and India.
The thing I've heard
Mm.
is that the live service Assassin's Creed game might have tanked, and this is just them salvaging the pieces from it.
I'm glad it's tanked.
Yay?
Yeah, I'm gonna be young with this.
Yay, no Assassin's Creed live
So we love
service.
live service games.
I guess yay, because it means we'll get multiple projects that could possibly be good. I want to like Assassin's Creed
What was the last
again.
one you played?
You're ready to be heard again.
The last one I
Yeah.
played was Unity.
The last one you played was Unity? Okay, I enjoyed Unity a
Oh,
lot.
boy.
I hated
But
Unity, but I
played
also
Origins
had a very
and
glitchy
shit.
and horrible
That's-
time with it.
It's Origins isn't an Assassin's Creed game, but it is still a good game. But I can understand why you do
It's
not
so
like it, Josh.
Fucking bad.
It is not.
It is fucking horrible.
Shit, classic.
It is.
It's not-
Oh, it's so
It is
bad.
not a U game.
I've heard nothing but bad things about Valhalla as well.
I've heard some
Valhalla's
pretty
just
good
Origins
things
on
about Valhalla,
steroids.
but basically just,
Yeah.
hey, it's still...
And everyone's like, no,
Yeah,
too big,
basically.
too big. But it's still an open world game, so I guess we can be angry at that.
I've heard Syndicate was good, so I'm thinking about going back to play
It's
that
okay.
one.
You can tell it's sort of like the last ideas they've got for like that type of.
Just play Revelations, that was the best one anyway.
Jesus.
taking a half.
Brotherhood is pretty good.
It is my favorite Assassin's Creed game.
It's
to be
not
honest.
even the best of the trilogy it's part of.
Nah. Anyway, should we move on?
No.
So says the guy with the shittiest take, trying to sweep that under the rug.
What do you mean? It's the best.
Speaking
It was
of
a great
moving on.
game.
And
I'll give him the point of it was better than Assassin's Creed 3 from my memory.
It was 100% better than Assassin's Creed 3. I don't care
But it
what
was
my opinion
but it
is.
was
That is
worse.
correct.
It was worse than 2. It was worse than Brotherhood. It was worse than 4.
2 was good.
and you know what else is better than Assassin's Creed 3? The new Elite Series 2 controller.
Bam, nailed it. How does he do it?
I want to point out that only Seth could have written this because the title's wrong. Xbox Elite 2 wireless. I've had an Elite 2 wireless controller in my hand for the last year and a half. They've announced a new cheaper model basically.
I'm
called the
sure
Core.
I looked at the headline while I was writing this as well, so I must have just gotten a
No,
dyslexic
you're very
moment.
close.
Yeah, but yeah.
It's the Xbox
um,
Elite Wireless Controller Series
close,
2
it's just-
Core. Like it's.
Yeah.
You were right, Seth.
But there's a big difference because the Series 2 has been out for a
Can we
long
just call it the Xbox Series X
No,
controller?
it's not the Series X
Elite.
controller. That's
because
different,
that's
man.
completely incorrect.
That's what I've got.
That's completely wrong. Yeah.
the Xbox Elite Series
No.
X.
You know what? Dox yourself so I can
Yes.
come over and brick you for that comment. That was a dumb comment.
Wow.
I'll send you my mum's credit
Picture
card
of the
number.
front
Will
and
that
back,
make up
please.
for it?
Anyway, TLDR, this one doesn't ship with the interchangeable thumbsticks, D-pad, paddles, and you can buy the components separately for $60 extra. Which, honestly, the D-pad that it comes with is kind of shitty, so I would recommend doing that.
Oh god, it's got a disc one.
It's got the disc one, yeah. Which is okay. It's just kind of shitty for most games. And it still doesn't have a share button, so 10 out of 10.
You can
useless
remap it. You
button
can remap it
avoided.
now.
You can remap it now, but
The
seriously,
achievements
what am I
button.
going to remap it to?
That's what I did.
Hey, that's a good idea.
Isn't
button
that
on
the controller
idea.
Like you
solely
press it,
for
I can
achievements.
track the progress.
Yeah,
of
that's
it.
a
While I'm
great
like,
idea, man.
what are the achievements? Am I doing something wrong? I use it fucking a shit ton, unironically.
Yeah, I would use it a lot too. That's a great
Isn't
idea.
that button in the middle right the share button?
No,
I just
one
don't
that's
know.
two
because I don't
squares?
feel like controller.
it would be on the PlayStation controller, but on this it's more of a back or a view button or an options button.
Oh, okay, so like the select button.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all the news for that. It's cheaper, so if you have not bought the Elite Series controllers, I recommend them. They're very solid,
$129.
very good controllers.
And that's in
but
US
you're
dollars.
going to be using it a lot.
Whew.
How many hours would you say you use your
I
controller for?
a
Stephen?
fucking ridiculous amount. Like I definitely get.
Exactly. So if you can't spend like $120 for a superior,
But at the same time, though, because
That's not an extra $20. That's an extra $60, I think, for US. Maybe even
so
$70.
maybe because I'm a lounge gamer.
Functionality in it.
As it is. My controller. Ooh,
A fast travel lounge gamer.
That was very good, Pat.
Ooh.
You just can't miss, can you? My controllers have a tendency to be knocked off the lounge or the armrest or the coffee table due to a cat, my own foot, or me fucking around. So I can't really justify paying that much money knowing it's going to crash into the ground a lot.
Honestly, they're very super
I'm sure they are.
solid.
I'm sure they are. It's just consistently dropping it on the floor, and if I broke something like that due to my own mistakes, and there's no one else I can blame.
Yeah. I just think it would be hard to break.
I want to get one just to throw it out the window.
I really do.
Well, I live on the
think it
first
would
story.
live.
I'd be surprised if it did.
Yeah. No, they're honestly very solidly built. Like this is still my favorite controller, like without a doubt. But anyway, yeah, it doesn't matter. We can move on.
Speaking of moving on,
Well,
Have you got a segue for us?
in
fact, I would even say the controller's magic. Nah.
okay, well, now you two
The
brought it up.
first time I held a DualSense, I felt like magic.
The sense sucks ass.
DualSense is fantastic.
Well, you know what doesn't suck ass?
There you go. There's the segue.
You want to talk
there we
about
go.
RC controllers? We look at the Nintendo Switch Pro one.
I would still prefer that over a PS3 controller night and day.
PS3, yeah, no, the PS3 one's horrid.
It's a DualSense.
DualShock.
It's just DualShock one, isn't it?
DualSense is the PS5.
Oh, well, that's okay, except that every one I buy dies. So
Sounds
anyway.
like a skill issue. I've only had
same
two and
fucking
they're
thing.
both
Anyway,
fantastic.
speaking of winning awards,
Wait, do you guys, wait, hang on, sorry. Do you guys hear that? Is that coming through my mic?
No.
No.
Oh, okay. That was
Just
the
the
segue
sound
that I
of-
did like
just the
40
sound of
seconds
your-
ago, but I guess it just
Yeah, I
died.
fucking knew this was coming.
Just the sound of your voice, Patrick. That's all I can hear through your microphone. Unlike
I
other
honestly
people's.
thought you were going to say it's the sound of the person who asked.
Don't steal
no,
Steven's bit.
Speaking of stealing Steven's
oh, it's pronounced Segway. I've only seen it written, so I thought it was a Sega, like a Sonic Frontiers reference. I don't know. Man, I wasted it. That was.
But that's not how it's spelled.
I wasted it.
God, me never miss, Steve never hit.
50%.
Yeah,
apparently.
You put us together.
Did a
50%.
miss. Guess he never hit, huh?
I never hit.
You know what they say about Steve? He misses 50% of the shots.
60% of the
Anyway.
time he misses every time.
True. So, this next piece, I am so stoked for. Arcane becomes the first gaming show to win an Emmy. Which gaming show? Actually, that's such a weird way to put the headline. It's not about gambling. It's not fucking Wheel of Fortune. But they got an Emmy for Outstanding Animated Program, and I couldn't be happier for them. It is really awesome to see. They actually have a really interesting behind-the-scenes type series that I think League of Legends or a League of Legends affiliate channel's been uploading. They're 20 to 30-minute episodes, up to part 5 now on YouTube, maybe part 6 as of time of recording. And it's just interesting, because I like Arcane, I think, has been one of the highlights of, was it this year? Was it last
this
year?
I think.
No, it's this year.
Yeah, I think
I
it
wanna
was
say
like
late-
either late
Haven't
last
seen
year,
it.
like
Late last
really
year, I think.
late, or
Yeah.
really early this year.
Yeah,
Pretty
I
certain
know.
it was this year.
I know that I saw it this year, but I feel like it came out super late last year. Anyway, definitely one of the best things that I've seen in the
November
past year.
2021.
And there we go. And definitely probably the best animated thing that I've seen in the past year. Yeah, super highly recommend. Even if you're not big into League, I know quite a few people that have zero interest in League of Legends the game, but have loved Arcane the show. So I am so happy that they got recognized for the work, because holy shit, was it a mammoth project getting it over the line.
Yeah, no,
I want
Arcane
to
is
point out
something
some of the shows that they won over, by the way. So they won over Bob's Burgers, Rick and Morty, The Simpsons, and Marvel's What If. That's a big fucking list of pretty heavy-hitting shows.
What If is
that's huge.
The bigger one. Rick and Morty was kind of Simpsons is always there. And I forgot the other one. Bob's Burgers.
Yeah. But they're still like massive shows, right? When you think, if someone said to you that an animated show based on a game was coming out and it will win an award over these shows without knowing what Arcane is now, you would be like, that doesn't seem likely. Like, it'd have to be very good, which it was. So they did a good job.
Yeah, no, gaming adaptations have been getting a lot better of recent years. There's still some really big burners and bummers around.
Resident Evil.
Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, Dragon's Dogma. But no, for every single, like every two that bombs, there's something fantastic coming out, and I'm glad Arcane's getting recognition. I will have to go and watch it myself at some point, especially because I'm in this field, and I'm very excited for the fighting game that's going to be coming, which is going to be based on the Arcane side of League of Legends rather than the main.
Oh my god!
Rather than the main series. Also, I think this might be the first time they've mentioned it, but the second season is in production now.
Yep. No, they
bought an animation studio or a huge amount of the studio that was behind it.
This might be the first time that they've properly announced it, but they've definitely talked about wanting to make more. So I guess I'm not surprised by this news, and in fact, I'm very excited by this news. Right. Well, moving on. Next up on the list, we have the man who lifted PlayStation up to PC gamer standards is about to retire. Masayasu. Masayasu? Hopefully I'm saying that something close to accurate.
Yeah, that sounds about right to me. Masayasu Ito.
Leading many engineering teams over the years and is on the verge of retiring, which I would say sad to see, and I'm sure it probably is sad to see. But I don't know. I've fallen out of the PlayStation sphere long enough that maybe someone with a PlayStation knows more about this than me.
Let me bring you back in a sentence. From mechanical engineering lead for the PSP. That's all you need, mate. Based.
Okay. No, you know what? No, he can't retire. I refuse.
Yeah.
No. So this isn't like any big reasons. It's just he's getting to that age where he's being forced to retire, from what I read. So he's leaving the industry as a whole, and just retiring from work because legally he has to. Which
so they're gonna take him to the farm.
I guess. Like, good he gets to rest, but also bummer because he was a lead architect on so many good things. You know, besides the PlayStation 3, but the less said about the PlayStation 3, the better. And that was all Ken Kutaragi and his insanity.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a huge amount to go into on this one.
Yeah, not really. He's just an excellent engineer. I'm just reading through some of the stuff that he worked on, and yeah, it's some pretty cool stuff.
Been involved in a couple of stuff.
Excellent work.
I'll tell you that for free, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. It seems like a lot of things he was. He tried to battle was heat problems in the consoles as well, wanting to make them run cooler and quieter.
Okay.
He also did the full PlayStation 5 breakdown where he took apart an entire
was that
console
him?
to show
Oh, nice.
the guts of
I remember doing the
how
gloves
it is.
and stuff. That was sick.
Yeah, and you don't get that for a lot of consoles. Like you'll see like an unboxing video or something, but he did like a full mechanical breakdown to show the bits and pieces where the SSD slot was going to be, and then like just how everything was put together and why the console was the size it was. God, that heatsink is so big.
Oh, it's gotta be.
It's just fucking huge.
Some would say that it's infinite, which, speaking of, Halo Infinite, we have yet more delays to the campaign co-op. We now have an expectation. What?
Sad.
And split screen has been cut out as well, just straight up
screen,
cut.
Man. That's
honestly, it's not a huge loss.
Before COVID?
Well, so okay, on one hand, I get that perspective, that it's not a huge loss because the game has been out for long enough at this point that to add it back in would be almost more of a surprise than anything else. But on the other hand, that would make this the first Halo game that doesn't have split screen.
Halo
right?
5 didn't, and then they promised that the next game would have split screen because it was such a devastating move on their end to remove it in the first place. People really wanted it in, and people are very upset that it's being cut. To the point that people have found a glitch to turn on the split screen in the current build, and it works not flawlessly, but it works all the way back to the original Xbox One model. So it can be done. It needs some bug fixes, but they're just cutting it for time to focus on more competitive aspects of the game instead.
Oh, love that.
And whenever you build a shooter to be competitive, that's when you know shit.
Exactly. Why bother building something to be fun when you could build it to be a live service competitive game first?
Yeah. I honestly, the split screen, I'm like kind of whatever on. Like, I grew up playing Halo because it was split screen, and I feel like that's where a lot of people's sort of things are going to be lying
People's
from.
nostalgic memories of Halo.
Yeah, that's the thing. But for something that's big open world like this, I just don't see split screen being super viable.
I think it'd work fine.
I think you'd be better off dumping the two characters in the one screen and having an overall camera hover between the two of them. Or something.
No, those always suck. Unless it's like specifically designed for that, like a oh god, I'm forgetting the isometric. It needs to be an isometric designed game for that to work well. A game like Halo would not, unless it was like a brand new type of game.
There's
like
some okay games like stuff that do okay, but I don't know. I don't know how you would do it with Infinite to make the split screen good is the problem. I don't see it being good. If it was a standard Halo game where you got your level based stuff, everything's pretty tight knit. It makes sense.
I just do it like Far Cry 6 where it's got a huge map, but it's kind of it kind of wants and expects you to be together to the point where you can get a pretty good, decent distance away from each other, but not like a whole town over. Like if there's a base, then you can both be on opposite sides of the base, but you can't go and tackle two different bases at once, sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
It can work. There's games that have made it work, and I just think it's really shitty that they're like, oh, we promise it, and now removing it.
Yeah.
Right, well, speaking of promises that may or may not be kept.
That was a good one.
So proud of that one. Next up on the list. Thank you. Next up on the list. Quick roleplay time. Josh, do you want to be Activision Blizzard real quick?
Absolutely fucking not.
How would you like to be a perfect zero on the diversity spectrum? Just for lols for a sec.
Bobby Kotick, when did you get here?
I would not stomach being Blizzard Activision for a day or even for a minute.
All right,
but
fair
sure,
enough.
Let's pretend.
Let's pretend. Yes, wait. Okay, I'll just be Jim Ryan real quick.
Oh god, that's even worse.
It is worse.
Wait. Let me get into character. Right. Where's Call of Duty? And scene. So
I'm just imagining that Drake and Josh bit where they're stuck behind a door that hasn't been cut out.
I do not know that.
Wait, is that the one in the treehouse?
Phil Spencer, where is the Call of Duty? It's right here. I just need to cut out the door. All right, go do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard back, that definitely was this year. Good God.
They're still going through the motions to finalize it. Literally every country has to have a word and say in on it if it's going to be legal or not.
It's just fucking wild. Anyway,
it's that big of they're both that big companies that it's like a massive merger.
Yeah.
But it seems like chances are, because the FTC, I don't think has found anything that suggests that they can't stop it, that unless there's anything wild that comes up, that probably will happen. But there was all this talk about whether, like, what would happen to Call of Duty on Sony. And at the time, and even now, there's talk of, Call of Duty will be on Sony for several years to come. but there's a lot of discussion about, okay, so, you know, even if we have the next several years to come in racing, what does it look like after that? Given the absolute cash cow that is every Call of Duty
Pretty
game
sure it is
for,
one of the
for some
best-selling
reason.
games on PlayStation year on year.
Yeah, exactly.
And people, for the most part, semi-exclusively play it on PlayStation too. There's not many people that will buy Call of Duty for the Xbox specifically. If they have both, they'll usually buy it on PlayStation.
Yeah, because that's where the player base is at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. So I understand that part. It's just like going years beyond the contract for this is like that's a show of good faith at worst, right? That's, I don't know. This whole thing doesn't make sense to me. It's only just being we have the exclusive, not Xbox.
Yeah, I think you mean at best though, because at worst Xbox goes, nah, fuck you, and then pulls it from PlayStation. Well,
no, because it's because it's in writing, right? At worst, that's a show of good faith. It is there, yeah. Like that's been offered. At best, it will just continue happening. Like they'll still get the game.
Oh, so right. So you mean for the players' side?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So like the worst thing that can possibly happen about them taking this deal where they've got the years of the contract left and then years afterwards is that they get the game for that long and then it drops off.
Specifically 3 years is what was in writing. So I think the contract ended in 2023 or 24, and then another 3 years after that. So PlayStation would lose Call of Duty by basically the next console generation.
Well, that's not even true, because it said that like the proposition was that not it will be there for 3 years and then we'll take it away. It's this is what we will guarantee, because you can't make set in stone promises with an indefinite timeline. That's not logical.
I think I saw it on another article somewhere. Maybe I was misreading somewhere, but I saw a lot of things saying end of contracts, then another 3 years.
Yeah, it was end of contract and then another 3 years, but it wasn't end of contract, another 3 years, and then we're pulling Call of Duty away. It was, we will guarantee it for this long. There's nothing set in stone after that.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know what we're doing with it. So it's not, we'll give it to you for the end of the contract, 3 years, and then we're going to rip it out so that it will no longer be on PlayStation. They're not saying that. So very big distinction in the two.
Still very interested to see what actually happens, though.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Yeah, definitely.
I think the most interesting part of this article is that Phil Spencer, being Phil Spencer, just comes out and goes, "This is our plans." Like he's usually pretty open with this stuff, which is why people like him. And Jim Ryan's like, "No, you took a business discussion and you made it public. It's in courts all over the world.
Yeah,
it's already public. Stop being a bitch."
Yeah, it's like, fuck
no one likes you, Jim Ryan. Stop.
You're it's a shitty business deal. Get out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
Where?
What a bitch.
Go buy your own Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he bought Bungie.
We have Activision Blizzard.
We have Activision Blizzard at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Halo at home.
Destiny at the McDonald's ice cream machine.
So yeah, no, there's a lot of industry infighting, and as much as I hate Jim Ryan, I get where he's coming from on like a business side of trying to fight tooth and nail to keep Activision third party.
Yeah, I get why it's happening, but like the way he's going about this is the way that he goes about everything, where it just makes me hate Jim Ryan even more.
Oh yeah, no, Jim Ryan fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I cannot wait for the day that he leaves the head office of Sony and literally anyone else takes it and somehow they're worse than him.
Right, well, moving on. Speaking of something else that poisons everything it touches.
That was a really good one, actually.
Griff, thank you. Griffii? I don't fucking. There's no voice acting. I'll do what I want. I can say it how I like.
I think it's Griffii because it's like graffiti and II from Super Monkey Ball.
Well, II, the actual primate, but anyway, is a new Pokemon announced in Pokemon Scarlet Violet.
Patrick, I'm going to ask you don't put me on blast like that for my lack of knowledge.
Please do it. It was funny as fuck.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you not know your Madagascarian primates?
No, I do not.
Literally, like Seth going like, "Hey,
No,
game from like
because
PS1,
it's spelled
very good."
It's spelled a different way. I'm doing it because of the way that I the monkey is spelled, not like I as in the sound of the actual primate.
It's still hilarious to me that you're like game and Patrick's like,
what it's based off. Well, that's probably why Super Monkey says it.
touch grass.
Oh yeah, no, it would 100% be II is based on the II monkey. I just saw the lettering and went, oh, video game.
Aye.
Aye, Captain.
AI. There we go. Right. So this little dude looks kind of interesting. Poison normal
hate
type.
him.
Looks like a Digimon.
Can we get a meta worlds reading from prospective worlds competitor Josh?
Oh, but I'm gonna
I
be
thought
shit at
Stephen
it.
was doing it as
I will
well.
lose in the first round.
No, we should have did it too.
What is
Doesn't
it?
it? What do you mean? The chances of the people doing the best here
Well,
will
it's
be
like a
Patrick, to be
normal
honest.
poison type. It will see no competitive usage unless it's like a weird stall type. It looks like, I honestly think it's a baby Pokemon.
Well, you got to remember
That's
that you can
true.
change types in this one.
Yeah, well, we don't exactly know how that works.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah, we don't also know anything about this Pokemon other than
hey, we know
it's
its
normal
height, we
poison.
know its
So-
weight. Fuck, 27 kilos, that's a big fella.
We don't know if it's going to evolve. I expect
Yeah, we don't know if
it
it's
will.
going
It
to evolve.
looks-
I expect it will.
I reckon
evolve.
it'll evolve into toxicity.
Because Poison Touch is kind of shit.
I was
Electricity
actually
was
thinking
based.
I was thinking it looks kind of like a
Oh,
Grimmsnarl.
yeah, I can see that
evolution.
as well.
Yeah, it is giving me
little
that
bit.
similar sort of vibes, and that's probably why I don't
What's it
like
called?
it so
Impidimp?
much.
Yeah, Impidimp.
Man,
Yeah,
God, I hate it.
the
Well, Impidimp was
angsty
the first
barista.
one. What was the middle evolution?
Yeah, I also hated Impidimp, so I can see why I'm getting the same sort of
It
I
does
hate
have
this
like an overly
Pokemon
pastel
vibes.
type of colours. It's
like
alright. It's Pokemon.
I don't mind the color scheme. It's just kind of like the pug face and the bug eyes and the monkey look. And like, I get that it's wearing a hoodie and it's got like frayed hair sticking out the front. It's just kind of a mishmash of elements that don't work in a cohesive way for me.
Okay,
have
so
a
now that
call.
we've finished describing
That's a
Steve,
good
can we
one,
go back
but-
to describing Grifei? Or
It's
I
like
have a
looking
call.
in a
I
mirror.
reckon it's. I reckon it's going to evolve up to be
Dragon
a
Poison,
dragon
eh?
type.
Dragalge.
I reckon it's going to be Poison Dragon, and it'll be like a Monkey Dragon. It'll be sick.
Okay, but what if it evolved into a
It
Rajang?
evolved into a what, sorry?
Rajang.
Oh, it's a-
poisonous
from Monster
Rajang.
Hunter. Oh, yo, could you imagine a poisonous Rajang? Fuck that.
Instead of the Thunderblast, it's just
Yeah.
gunshot.
Instead of hunting Kirins, it starts hunting the Pookie.
Wouldn't it hunt Chameleos?
I guess.
Yeah, that made more sense. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I think it's cool. I like him.
The real question is if it breaks the horn off of Kirin or a Chameleos, or let's say hypothetically speaking a rhinoceros. If it grinds that, would it still be the aphrodisiac that everyone thinks rhinoceros horn is for a Rajang?
I didn't need to know that.
Oh, I'm
I don't
sorry.
want to think about that.
Are you also not up to date on your African poaching ingredients and reasons lists?
No, because
Someone needs to get more cultured on Africa, bro. I'm just saying.
mostly because I don't support hunting of rhinoceroses. Rhinoceri? What is the plural
actually,
for that?
Well, when you think about it,
Rhinoceri.
if they hunt one rhinoceros, they hunt all of rhinoceros. That's all I'm saying.
Anyway, the rest of the Pokemon news. Who wants to go through it?
We got a
always-
list.
There's always a list. So essentially, this is news that came out literally we alluded to at 11 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time last night.
Literally 24 hours
Yes,
ago.
I watched it.
Okay, well now I know it's 1 a.m.
Yeah.
and that's
Hey,
awkward for me.
You're free to leave New Zealand whenever you want. I stayed up for it. I was like, I'm glad I stayed up for it. And then I went to bed.
I did the exact same thing.
I was like, there wasn't much to pull out of that.
At exactly 11 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, Steve says, "I was like, I'm glad I stayed up for it," and then I went, and then I went to bed.
Much to think about. I sleep.
Thank you for the action replay.
Yeah, so they released a couple new details. We got a couple new Pokemon, 2 Mega Man clones and 1 crab.
I fucking love those Mega Man clones.
Yeah,
I love the crab.
I like the crab. The crab is sick.
The crab's okay.
He also looks like he could be meta, by the way.
Let's wait for all of the Pokemon and their stats to be released before we start talking about what's meta. Because if we find out that the genies are in this game, that's all it's going to fucking default to. Yeah,
I like his name, Clorf.
But yeah, they
At first, I thought he was going to be a like a Paldean Krabby, but I'm glad he's not. I'm glad he big.
Big.
that big one reminds me of the trials from Sun and Moon.
Monkey Island? Oh.
Well, you do have a gym trial / test before you can be the first gym leader. So
yeah, but that Clorf. I
so,
forgot the name.
Clorf, yeah.
Yeah, the giant Clorf was shown off during the segment where it's like this is a storyline where you explore the region and find out the secrets of the legendary
So essentially,
Pokemon.
they're breaking the game down into 3 parts: is the gym battling path and getting to the champion rank. And I say champion rank deliberately because it's their fucking wording, champion rank. Which has a whole lot of implications that I'm sure we'll get to
Put it in, like,
when the game comes
stars or some
out.
shit as well.
There's sort of an exploring.
God, I would love love a Champion League.
Yes.
Would love a Champion League too. I want another fucking 8 badges. Give me another 8 badges. Gen 2 is the best gen.
Bro, I want voice acting.
And then it
was good content,
There's like
though.
4 trainers in Kento.
The Underground Battle League in Black and White 2 is some of the best post-game content.
There's an Underground Battle League in fucking Gen 2 in Kanto.
The level scaling's all weird. It doesn't matter. Look, anyway, it's not fucking shit.
It's great. No, it's like 10 out of 10.
The music.
Gen 2
anyway,
game.
so there's like
Sorry, you can
the
continue.
Battle League, if you'll call it that. There's the Path of Legends, where you're searching for some Herba Mystica or whatever that is. And it's essentially you're exploring the region looking for more herbs because some guy sort of asks you to do that. His name's Arvin. Yeah,
Basically, Brock.
we got Brock at home. And then there's sort of that, and that's where that Clorf section was. And then there's a cutscene and interaction where there's a Titan Clorf, I think is the wording they use, and it's pretty much a big Clorf.
While we're on the
Titan,
topic
yeah.
of cutscenes, can I quickly chime in? I appreciate that they did not try to lie to us this time and kept all
what this
voice
fucking
acting
trailer-
out
the
of this
big-
trailer.
So something would appear on screen in text, and they'd zoom in on the text, and it was that fucking blatant that they were not using
It's
voice
so
acting
fucking
for it.
dumb, yeah.
I would rather they just didn't fucking do that. I
Read,
But no,
bitch, read.
It was like read. It's just like we're gonna zoom in on the text. We're not gonna tell you what it is. You have to read it. They might as well have spat in my fucking face. I've never. Jesus Christ! Oh man, that boiled.
Please understand that Pokemon does not make enough money to
that
have
boiled
voice
my-
acting in their games.
Yeah, only the
That's
highest
Pokemon
grossing
con-
IP
that's-
of all time.
That's a Pokemon
No,
company.
not enough
Game Freak
money.
gets $4.50. But yeah,
They're lucky if they get a shoestring to make these
what will
games.
sell us more Pikachu's? Make a Lechonk. Yeah, and then there's that, which is the
Someone Charizard,
exploration
you mean?
part, and then there's the third section of the game, which is you're facing off against Team Star, which Team Star seems
Team
to be
Star.
the bad guys. It is not the third version of Generation 7,
I don't even know.
Pokemon Stars. It's not that. It
Yeah.
doesn't exist.
I miss having evil teams that were actually
Well, okay,
evil.
so-
I miss them so much.
So
Seth's going to say the
something
exact same thing.
want to
I was
get
gonna-
in
he's
is
going
that
to say
this
the
is
exact same
exactly
thing
what
I'm
I
going to say,
said.
and we haven't even prepared this.
Yeah, this is exactly what I called when they first said they were going to do free storylines, where I was like, they're just going to split up the Legendary, the Champion League, and the rival team into 3 separate
Exactly
storylines.
what every other fucking game had, but anyway.
Yeah, it's literally the same as every other game had. They're just saying this time you can do each one separately on their own path. And so they're going to market it as 3 separate stories in one game, when literally every other game has had this same setup, except it was all on the one path.
What I was going to say is that I reckon Team Star is the same thing as like what Team Yellow was in Gen 8. It was like, oh yeah, we're just going to like be inconvenient
Yep.
to you.
Yeah,
but the
absolutely
real bad
are.
guy.
I was thinking more Team Skull.
Look at probably it might be like a
Sun
minor
and Moon.
inconvenience, but
Team Skull were like
Team Skull had the best
at
theme
least
song. Best
interesting.
theme song.
Yeah,
Team
Team
Yell
Skull
were
was
not at all.
Team Skull was antagonistic. Team Yell to me was like basically a fan club for
Yeah.
Marnie.
They were literally just UK people because they
They were
didn't
soccer
have a
fans.
license to be doing this, so they were evil.
Yeah, this is just Team Star looks like basically Skull factions, so they give me more of a Team Skull vibe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I miss
the
Team
rivals
Rocket.
do not interest me in the slightest. I miss Team Rocket so fucking much. I miss their giant evil lairs and the puzzles and shit like that. They were awesome, man.
Team
Bring
Aqua and
back
Team
that
Magma
shit.
too.
Yeah,
Team
Team
Pla-
Magma and Team
Team
Plasma
were
great.
fucking great. Plasma were okay.
Fucking End's Castle coming up from underneath the Pokemon League is still such a great moment.
What do you mean? Best moment has to be bloody Aqua and Magma finally reaching the climax of their competition where Kyogre and Garudon battling it out in the middle of Satopolis, and then Rayquaza flies down and yells, "Shut the fuck up," and then flies back off again.
Yeah, flies down with the metal chair, right?
That is what they do.
From the top rope.
Oh.
By God.
Honestly, my favorite moment
from
was
the
going
Ubers
to be...
tier.
I think I'm biased because in Gen 1, when you defeat Giovanni, that was just such a
no,
big
wait,
thing.
that's a Guilty Gear character. Never mind. I got it.
Yeah, I was like, what do you mean? It's Giovanni.
Yeah, it is 100% Giovanni, but for some reason it's like, wait a second,
I don't
no,
know why you
Giovanni is a Guilty Gear
correct
character.
me. What the fuck? Yeah, no, so when you beat him, I was like, man, that felt like I accomplished something. It really did. Especially because he was the 8th gym leader. That was cool. But like that felt good. Defeating anyone in Team Yo was like, fuck off, why are you here? You're just in my way. You have the same 2 Pokemon and they're all 20 levels below me. Move. Get out of my way. Yeah, so that's a shame. I would like to see interesting stuff come back. Actually evil people.
I also miss rivals that are like dicks to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, same. Not everything has
The
to be
three
happy
question
go
mark
lucky.
person
Please stop.
from Gold and Silver.
Yeah, you mean 3 question marks, exactly what
You'll
we
never
named him.
find out his name. His name's
Yeah.
3 question marks.
God,
Yep.
I hated that so much.
Yeah, he was cool.
We also got Miss Geeta, the chairwoman of the Pokemon League, who is 70% legs, which makes her a Bayonetta character.
And the other 30% is
Yeah.
Splatoon 3 ripoff, but glad to see they're doing the collab.
30% hair, 70% legs.
Actually looks like she was wearing what would be like a casual version of like a Namiel armor set from Monster Hunter World.
It does. It really does.
We also got Brassius, the grass gym leader.
I like that he uses a vine as a whip.
Yeah, no, that's going all the way back to like Gen 1 designs where Ace trainers had
They had
vines.
whips. It wasn't
It's
vines.
really cool.
They
We
were
haven't seen
whips.
that.
In the original Japanese. In the
No,
original Japanese.
They were one.
Yeah,
they were
they were
real whips. Yes.
That's funny. The Pokemon breeders in Gen 3 also had whips.
Oh, yeah,
Sabrina
she too.
also had a whip.
Sabrina did have a whip,
Mm.
yeah.
We see Mela, the boss of
Why does
this
Sabrina
one-
have a whip? She used telekinesis. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
there's Mela, who's the boss of a certain squad of Team Star. I'm going to guess there's five squads, 1 for each point. And then we also got the auto battle feature. Yeah, so just quickly explaining what it says in this blurb. It's you'll send out your Pokemon to do auto battles against any random encounter that's out on the field. And they specify that it's so that they can fight Pokemon without you giving commands. While you go look for items nearby, you can watch the Pokemon fight, or you can do anything else while they're off getting XP and leveling up on their own.
What'll be great is when you send it off to do an auto battle and then your rival jumps you and you're like, oh cool, you've used all the PP for all the moves I didn't want you to use.
I
Because they're
doubt
my
it'll
good
do
bits.
that. I think it'll
You're
just
like, oh
be
cool,
like an
you've
auto
used all
thing
the
of like,
flamethrower and none of scratch.
I
Cool.
think it'll just be a stat thing of like, oh hey, you're this much stronger. Let's just bang, take it out.
I hope not, because that
Speaking
takes
of
away
banging
any
and taking
challenge
it
for
out,
it.
if there's this auto battle feature to level shit up, is the daycare even going to be like a thing in this game?
I don't
I
know,
assume
if you
so
can tell
for
us you're
breeding
gonna breed it.
purposes.
They can
Yeah.
gave you experience points. It was only for breeding. Just funny
Yeah.
thing to think about.
Don't think too hard, Steve.
I
That
try
goes
not
to a very, very dark
I'm legally
place.
not allowed to.
and
Legally
yeah,
not allowed within 50 feet of your dark thoughts.
we got 3 new Pokemon shown off. There's Cloth, the rock crab Pokemon. Its abilities are Anger Shell and Shell Armor. Those don't sound familiar to me. Do you guys know what they are?
Shell armor, yeah, absolutely.
Prevents critical hits.
Okay.
That's it.
And
Anger Shell, I don't know what that is. I think that might be unique.
Yeah, Anger Shell's new.
Anger Shell's
it's
new.
pretty much a shell
Okay, so
smash.
Anger Shell is new.
Every time it gets hit, I think it defense and special defense fall, attack, special attack, and speed rise. I believe it is pretty good, but it's like the more hits you take, the faster you're going down.
Built-in fucking weakness policy, bro. Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
you can put a weakness policy on
so-
top of that. Fuck yeah, you'd be OP as shit.
I don't think that's 100%. I think Anger Shell
Doesn't-
might do some of that. I don't think it does all of that, just because that's pretty close to weak armor, where every time you get hit, your
Maybe
defense
that's what
goes
I'm
down, your
thinking of.
speed goes
I
up. So I think it's attack. Yeah, I think you're right on the attack side. I don't think it does attack and speed, because that sounds a little bit too strong. Although maybe if it's special defense as well. Oh no, maybe I don't know, but it's definitely something like that. It drops one stat, boosts another.
When the Pokemon HP drops below half, Anger Shell lowers its defense and special defense, but its attack, special attack, and speed are raised. It's not when you're hit when you drop below half.
Okay,
that's
that
not
would make
too
sense.
bad.
That's still pretty good considering
That with
it'll
weakness
have high
policy.
defense as a rock type. So as long as it has decent special defense.
And
What do
then
you
we
mean?
got
I'm
a
going to
version.
turn that boy into a wall.
We
Yeah,
got a new
exactly.
version exclusive Pokemon shown off as well. We got Armorogue for Scarlet, and
Everything
I
I see
wanted.
about Scarlet makes me not want it anymore. I need to cancel it and
Good,
pre-order
I'm telling
mine.
you.
Yeah, no, this is exactly the same thing as me. The only good thing about Scarlet has been the Professor. Everything else has been really bad. The Legendary looks worse, and
Why does
now
it fucking run? I'm so mad that it runs.
Armorogue has an exclusive move called Armor Cannon, which is a fire type move where whenever it's used, it lowers Armorogue's defense and special defense in exchange for. Well, it says in exchange for that power, but it's going to be a high damaging move, but it's going to lower its defenses in exchange for that, which is such a bad ability.
Unless it's like 160 base power or something insane.
Yeah,
it's
no,
gonna
it's
be
gotta
pretty
be-
shit.
It's got to be a very strong move to make up for it. And
No,
then
it's
there's
the same as close combat. It'd be
Yeah, that's what it
a
sounds
different
like.
type close combat.
It will be, yeah. Because the other one's a different type Giga Drain, basically.
yeah, there's Cerule Edge, which has a Bitter Blade, which is basically what Josh just
It
said.
does damage.
Yeah. They do both have Flash Fire as an ability, which is kind of dope, because Flash Fire is awesome.
I also vibe with Cerule Edge and all of its lore being the most edgy Pokemon I've seen in a while.
I
And-
think you'll find the edgiest Pokemon.
I knew
is
he was going to say
Kartana.
it. I would have
Yeah.
also accepted.
I knew he was going to say it
Beaker.
too. Reminder of Kartana's
What,
like
Egg-
voice lines.
I haven't seen Kartana before.
Like the Pokemon?
It's the
What
Pokemon
do you-
that just by
oh,
looking
it's
at
not
it
a
gives you
Pokemon,
a
it's an
paper
Ultra
cut.
Beast.
Oh, okay, it's an Ultra Beast. So
It's an
yeah, I
Ultra
haven't
Beast,
done
yeah.
the whole Ultra Beast quest line yet, so I haven't seen
Yes.
this one.
Whenever Kartana talks,
Is
it
that
talks in
actually true?
reverse. It's great. It's hilarious.
True, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, if you reverse it, like what it's saying
Oh,
in the
shit,
anime, it
that's
actually
nice.
speaks.
Yeah.
I
And it
Oh.
says you have too much time on your hands.
the only Ultra Beast I've seen in the anime is Guzzlord and its amazing
Oh, yeah, I've seen
screens.
the memes of it screaming.
It's still no Reggie Steel. Is it Reggie Steel?
No, Reggie Ice.
Reggie Ice. That's it. Oh, so like Reggie Rock and the.
Yeah, bum, 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 bum.
But
The
yeah,
fucking
no,
great
every time
Pokemon.
they show off new version exclusives, I'm like, Violet is the better game. Which
Violet's the better game. I'm gonna probably end up getting
that
both,
tracks
to be
for
honest.
me as well because I prefer the blue and purple color scheme.
Same, but I grew up playing the red-based games, so I want to continue that. Anyway, doesn't matter. That's anything else they show off? Not really, huh?
There was also the Scarlet and Violet themed
That
to
looks
Nintendo Switch OLED that got
so
Yeah,
shown
that
off.
looks really good. It
It
does.
does look really good.
It makes me
Yeah.
want to trade in my OLED for it, to be honest. But I don't. It wouldn't be worth money.
Wow, that's
I
crazy.
would
It
love
also
to
makes me
trade
want to trade
Josh's
Josh's
OLED.
OLED in.
It makes me want to trade in Josh.
That was a bit too far.
Wow, that's rough, bro. So if
Well,
I'm not here for the
okay.
next month where we're not recording, then you know what's happened to me.
Well,
Yeah, you've
Seth,
been trading in
Seth.
for Pokemon.
Seth, I'm on board with that. The problem is you'd only get half the OLED for trading Josh. Like which
But I also get his
Joy-Con
OLED
do you want?
TV.
You think I'm worth half an
You
OLED
get one
Switch?
Joy-Con
That's so
with
nice.
drift. It's already got drift.
I get one Joy-Con. That sounds terrible.
with
Okay.
drift, alright.
Yeah,
With drift. Oh, bro. That's harsh, bro.
Looking at this as well, I'd 100% take off those Joy-Cons and put them somewhere safe for display because I would not use them in fear of wearing out that paint.
I'd use it. What's the point in having something if you're not going to use it?
It will become a display
drift.
unit.
Nah.
That dock and those controllers are for display, not for use. I paid too much
And why
money for
you
those to
buy
get
it?
damaged.
Whatever.
It'd be the same as a regular.
No, if I
sorry,
had bought it, not
For realsies.
not for real.
Oh my god, the OLED Switch has actually gone up in price since I bought it on release.
Not
heck?
surprised.
No, me either. Okay,
Keen for
cool.
it, can't
Do
wait.
you have
Where is it?
anything more
Give
to
it to
say
me
about
now.
it? I sit here every day going, I need a new game to play, so I play Tarkov because I have nothing to play. I'm just waiting for Pokemon. I know in my heart that's all I'm doing.
Man
I'm
who
just waiting
bashes
for it.
Sentai for being too kiddie, sitting here excited for Pokemon, a children's
It is
RPG.
not children's.
I didn't say it's too shitty.
It's not-
It's too kiddie.
I
It's
said
just
kiddie.
shitty.
I didn't say shitty, I said kiddie.
It's not-
I think it's shitty is what I was trying to say. I
It's
didn't
not
enjoy it as a
kiddie,
kid,
it's
and I don't enjoy
all
it now.
ages.
Exactly. Just like a lot of video games that I enjoy.
No. Ryan's Racing is a child's game. You should not be playing that.
Right.
Jim Ryan's racing. Sorry.
Okay,
go on.
well, we're definitely not talking about that. All right, that brings us to the end of the news for this week. We have an audience question. Lucky episode number 40 audience question from Lauren. Lauren asks, who has the highest NPC energy out of the four?
For hosts, he says we're all hosting. Is that what I heard?
Oh, we're all hosting.
Well, that's
okay.
Lauren's words. So
I'd say
I want to insult Josh and say it's him, but I also find that if Steven was an
too
NPC, he'd
unpredictable.
have the best
the shittest
dialogue
dialogue option.
options.
what? Do you, so what? It's not even the shittest dialogue. You know what would happen? You'd walk up to Steve, you'd start a conversation, and then he'd say something, and then every time you tried to reply, he'd just
You
talk
mean
at the
like what I'm
same
doing
time
now?
and then respond with, "Let's just talk. Let's just talk
Like
at the
what I'm
same
doing
time."
now?
Yeah.
That'd be so good, though.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've never done that in my entire
Exactly.
You're
life.
trying to bait it too hard.
All right, you guys are pretty smart.
So yeah, I vote Steve.
I'm very impressionable.
I could smell the bait a mile
That's true.
away.
That is a mile, not a kilometer. Interesting.
So, I
Yeah,
I
think
would
it's
Americanize too much.
Too many lists, my
I wouldn't
dude.
say Seth. Too many lists, and also if
That's not
there's,
my
if I
fault.
look at
Blame the
something,
entire
No,
gaming
no,
community.
nah. If I look
That's
at
such
something like,
NPC chat. Oh my god.
NBC chat even.
well, yeah. Nah, I just think like if I had to try and predict what anyone was going to do or say out of us, it would be Seth.
Rude.
No, like because Steven comes up with some lines, I just go, "What the fuck." Patrick surprises me on a daily basis with some of the weird shit that he sends me. Whereas if I look at something that is like vaguely cringy, I'll be like, Seth will like that, and you're like, hey, I like this.
Wow. Imagine being NPC levels of predictable.
No, I wouldn't say NPC levels, but you guys are just way too far out of the margin. Seth is reasonable.
Well, if I was an NBC, would I?
Hold on, let me find my old tweets from
Oh,
2010
you
where I
cancel
cringe
yourself?
at those. Let's find
You know what?
year
Let's not
10
do that.
random.
The dumbest part is that Seth's about to read it out and then go, "I still agree with that."
Yeah. It'd
Oh,
be,
what's
wow,
this?
Kingdom Hearts is great.
Crush 40 based? Oh yeah, I was
Did you
I
actually
still
write
had good
that? Please
opinions
don't
12
say you
years
said
ago.
base in 2010.
I didn't. Imagine.
I was the inception of the word based on the internet.
People using it in 2010.
Crush 40 is so
In
poggers,
2010, using
XD.
poggers. Are you having a fucking laugh?
Oh god.
In
So
2010 is
swag,
too
so
early for
swag.
poggers, but
It'd be
right on time for
swag.
XD.
I got beat up for saying something was poggers.
Sag.
Sag.
Man, 2010, take me back. Take me back.
Please don't.
I don't
Oh,
even remember my vocabulary in the
probably,
2010s. It would have been
Not
awful.
very. Hang on. It's probably cringe. Oh, Eshays.
Or Eshays Crush 40 is absolutely
Scucks
fucking
Deluxe.
swaggin', brah. Yeah, Scucks Deluxe.
Scucks
Yeah, that's
Oh,
it.
Scucks,
Fucking
bruh.
Scucks
Oh, man,
Deluxe.
take me back. Man, what is Ziz
Yeah.
up to at the moment?
Yeah.
Not much.
Vice Australia did an
Not a
article on him,
lot.
and they pretty much said that he like combined 4chan humor and culture with the fitness community, and I'm like, are you sure he did that?
So, sounds like it.
Pretty sure
like,
that's just slash fit.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, being real, I don't think it would have been too hard to do that, if I'm
No.
honest. Right. Well. yeah.
What
I
about
guess
you,
hopefully-
Patrick? Do you want to insult me as well?
No, I already said Steve. I stand by
it's
that.
Seth.
What was your answer, Steve? Oh, that's right.
So it's
Do you
a
have any
50-50
reasons why?
split
Pretty much.
between Steve and Seth.
What do you mean? It's 2 points to Seth. Congratulations, you're the NPC, bud.
I
You know,
voted
there's
for
4
Steve,
people on this
and so did
podcast.
you.
Yeah, but NPCs can't vote.
What an NPC thing to say.
Oh no, that's 2 against each. Oh well, host
rats.
privilege, deciding vote goes to Steve.
No,
Not so much for overall host.
It's his vote. I'm taking out the votes against me.
You know what? That still makes me an NPC.
Damn.
You know that, right?
Wait, did you just summon a bunch of votes in one turn? That's against the rules.
If you're just not listening to things that people are saying to you because it's not something that you're programmed to hear, does that
Sorry.
make you an NPC?
I didn't agree with that, so I'm cancelling those thoughts.
I think the real NPC energy is just talking when you're spoken to.
Okay. You know what? Let's wrap
Oh,
it up.
maybe I am an NPC.
I just I'm future Seth. If you just want to drop the old Skyrim NPC dialogue sound,
You don't get to the cloud district very often, do you?
just in and out of when people have been talking through this section, that'd be
Somehow I'm going to
fucking
chop up
mint.
all of this discussion so that we're all talking like the Skyrim NPCs. It's going to extend the entire bit by another 10 minutes, but it'll be worth it.
Thank you for your
Excellent.
service.
Looking forward to it.
You there,
Love-
criminal
love-
scum.
Yeah, love your work. Right. Well, hopefully that answers your question, Lauren. Feels weird to be doing this for the final time before the break, but thank you for submitting a question. But if you or someone that you know has a question you'd like us to answer, get in touch. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Gmail at Fast Travel Lounge, although on Twitter it is still -1 of the L's. Give us a like on your favorite podcast platform because it really helps us become the #1 preferred gaming and pop culture news podcast sponsored by, where are we at now? Samsung,
Well, I think
Krispy
we're ever-
Kreme,
we
Ford
will never
Trucks,
need a new
sponsored by
one for this month. What do we got?
September. Fuck
Yeah,
it. And
anti-sponsor even.
We had too many Samsung products break on this podcast to be sponsored by
Raid
them.
Shadow Legends, so we plug in them so they get in touch with us.
Ooh, yeah.
No,
could
not
do Raid
yet.
Shadow
I
Legends.
had an offer, but then I didn't follow through, so I will not talk about them until they send me another offer I can actually do.
Until they cut me a
I will
check,
do it
boy.
for one donut.
Sponsored by Sponsored by
good,
Shitty Walk
yeah.
from South Park.
And that's
Oh,
your
hell
shitty
yeah.
sponsor.
There we go. Hey,
That is what it is, well, hey!
the shittiest.
That was good.
But yeah, that brings us to the end of episode 40. Been a crazy ride. I would ask whether we have things for people to look forward to next week, but next week is going to be in 5 weeks. So, yeah, I don't know.
Unless we decide to do pod tent
We
without
probably
you.
will.
Yeah, exactly. So, fuck.
Really?
Again,
Gotta
again,
keep the
That was
algorithm.
vicious.
Gotta-
corpse is still warm, Steve.
Gotta keep
Yeah,
playing to the algorithm.
Honestly, classic NPC.
Well, no,
that
because I
can't
think
read
when
the
you get
fucking
back,
room,
I
am
leave
right?
on my trip. And I would hate for you guys to come back and then for me to be gone and you to be like, oh, well, looks like we're about 4 weeks.
How long's your trip? Oh, fuck. Okay.
Bro, do you not just want to like go on your trip now?
I can't.
It'd be easier on all of us.
Where are you
Then
going?
I'll be going on my trip after that. No. Well, it doesn't matter.
I'll see,
no,
I'll see,
no,
you-
I'm
I'll
not
see
here
you next
anyway half the
fall.
time, so it doesn't matter.
Flight of stairs.
So what I'm hearing is I need to find an entire new crew of 3 people for
No,
the
I'm
next
not
2
saying I'm
months.
just.
Yeah, but you also need to find one of them that can promise to edit a spoiler cast, but then doesn't. So
Josh isn't going anyway. No, I'm just saying, just keep it as 3. The mighty threesome, as the saying goes.
The
The Holy
trifecta.
Trinity.
But
What
then
if
what
he-
if Josh leaves? He takes one of
Well,
his
we'll get a
pads and
guest
Josh
on.
breaks.
I know some people. They don't want to be on the podcast, but I can trick them.
You reckon we can? No.
Are you talking about touching
Discussion
grass?
for off the chat.
I love the idea that Steve will find a guest who also sound like their audio is going through a wood chipper.
If we want to get cancelled, I know someone we can bring on.
Oh yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about, and so will Patrick.
We're not getting cancelled.
Patrick comes back to the podcast on fire, wondering what the fuck
It's all,
happened.
yeah, it's all on fire. It's like the fucking dude entering with
Yeah,
the pizza,
Donald
Childish
Glover.
Gambino,
Donald
whatever
Glover.
his name was in the show.
Actually, no.
Donald Glover. Yeah,
Patrick
but
would
what
know
was his name
exactly
in the
what
show?
happened if
Don't
it was on fire.
I just picture to be like Seth slipping like a note to me before we record the next episode, and it just says all the socials are changed. We're not allowed on any of those platforms anymore. If you want to get in touch, we're on Rumble at.
We're on Truth Social or whatever the fuck Donald Trump one was.
We
are back to episode 1.
But yeah. So thanks for sticking around. Thanks for listening. Yeah, there might be other content that comes up after this point, but otherwise, I've been Patrick. You've been listening to Fast Travel Lounge episode 40. I've been joined by Saif, Steve, and Josh, and in whatever form that we reconvene and come back together again, we'll see you then. Goodbye.
Happy birthday, whoever's birthday is out there. You're the realest.